I'm American. That's right, I'm American. Got a picture hanging above my fire next to the deer I shot with my rifle. NRA, hell yeah, I support them. I hate my job and I hate my boss, but I love my country and I pray to God that the Cowboys win. Just clap your hands if you love our country, if you love our land. That's right. And if you're not clapping your hands, you're a terrorist and you eat sand.
Irreverent, but honest and tastefully tacky somehow. Here comes another hour of insensitivity training with Glenn Woods.
And I live in America. Come on. And I live in America. I'm American.
It's a Friday edition of the Bold Republic Radio Show. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. Open phones all the way. I do that every single day, but on Fridays, it's the entire program. So you can call, interrupt, bother me if you have to. Go ahead, bother me. Because you're not bothering me if you bother me. Which sort of defeats the point of you bothering me in the first place. We'll figure it out. 307-363-4093 is the number. That's 307-363-4093. Headline news. And I like to hit you with the biggest, baddest headlines I possibly can whenever I start a program like this. But you see, Friday, for those who don't know, is house cleaning day. On house cleaning day, I just go through whatever news I can possibly find that I haven't been able to get to during the course of the week. The important stuff, the headline stuff. Not the garbage like we were talking about yesterday, like with polls and so on, because that's not news. I mean, the important stuff that you need to know in your life. Like, for example, naked woman goes on rampage at a Georgia Waffle House. See what I mean? This is the important news that you need with your life. Number one, let's take apart the headline here just to see the various levels of importance in this story, which is why I chose it as the lead story for the day. Number one, naked. The moment the story says naked, I have everybody's attention. Even people who don't listen to talk radio. If there was a radio within range or someone listening on the app or something like that, they heard the word naked. And so immediately they stopped and turned and listened. That's why this is an important headline grabber, because the lead word in the headline is naked. And that gets everybody's attention. Second, woman. Okay, well, that gets the attention of most men and even some women. Naked woman, boom, done, massive headline. See how this works here? My ratings just went through the roof. Carl, Chuck, you're welcome. They own some radio stations that play the show. You're welcome for the boost in ratings that you have right now. Quick, while I'm talking about this story, raise your advertising rates for the next few minutes. Because right now, everybody's listening. I started the show with naked and woman. That's it. We're off to a roaring start here. A naked woman goes. Oh, where did she go? Now you're curious. Oh, well, she went on a rampage. Oh, okay. So now you have a naked woman doing crazy things. Some kind of a rampage is going on. Is this the perfect headline or what? If CNN or Fox News wanted the perfect rating, for that matter, if MSNBC wanted to get their ratings out of the toilet right now, they would leap all over this headline. Al Jazeera is going to be closing down in the next couple of months because their ratings were actually worse than MSNBC. No, I'm not kidding about that. It's possible to do that. A lot of people hear that and they think, no one's ratings could possibly be lower than MSNBC. Well, guess what? Their ratings are actually lower than MSNBC. So, boom, done. This would pull Al Jazeera out of the toilet, if you will. Well, where did it happen? It happened in Georgia. Boom, done. Now, there's only a couple of other places that it could possibly have happened. A naked woman going on a rampage. When you hear where, which I just mentioned a moment ago, it makes sense. It can happen in one of several places: Alabama, Florida, or Georgia. Huh? Experiment on a video stream wants to know about naked women holding bacon. See, now that is a headline, but this is right in here, probably neck and neck. I would say this one even tops it. It happened at a Waffle House. Now, the only other place it could have happened besides a Waffle House, since we're in Georgia, is perhaps if it happened in a Walmart, something like that. So let's take a look at the perfect headline. A guaranteed ratings buster. Naked woman goes on rampage at Georgia Waffle House. Boom. Done. Perfect headline. Now, I'll get into the details of the story up next, but the thing that you're probably wondering at this point is, well, now, Glenn, if a naked woman went on a rampage at a Waffle House in Georgia, was she at least cute? Is she attractive in any way? You're trying to get a visual on this. It's Southern Georgia. It's a Waffle House. So she is Waffle House naked. Okay, there's a difference between naked and Waffle House naked. All right, if I had said that some woman got naked at some hot LA dance club, well, then you know what that means, right? And right away, whatever kind of supermodel you picture, you're right. But the moment I say a Southern Georgia Waffle House, you're talking Waffle House naked, which is just as bad as dollar store naked, which is just as bad as Walmart naked, okay? And it falls into the general rule that I throw out every time somebody gets naked in public. Same rule that I throw out for nude beaches and nudist communities out there that people like to live in. The people that get naked in public are never the people you want to see naked. It just simply doesn't happen that way. If you were right now walking down the street somewhere and somebody just started to get undressed right there in the middle of town, trust me, it's not going to be somebody that you actually want to see naked. So no, it's Waffle House naked. It's just simply not going to work the way you were hoping that it was going to work. So I know you're just dying to hear the story here. A 37-year-old woman arrested after police says she stripped off all of her clothes and went on a rampage at a Georgia Waffle House. Investigators, wouldn't you love to be an investigator on this one? Investigators say Jennifer Mary Nicholson, I see, Southerner, 3 names, of Marietta, Georgia, took off her clothes, punched a woman in the face, broke her nose, then threw plates and other dishes at the window and at stunned patrons, according to local news reports. The incident took place at the Waffle House restaurant in Kennesaw, about 27 miles north of Atlanta. Oh, pardon me. This is slightly north Georgia, not southern Georgia. But it's in the middle of the state, so you understand. It's about the same thing. Well, of course, somebody grabbed the woman and punched her, and that apparently put an end to it. She came across and hit me in the nose, grabbed me in the chest, made a second attempt to grab my arm, she said. She broke my nose, broke my glasses and phone. The phone went flying out of my hand. Police say they restrained the woman with a stun gun. Now, what's interesting about restraining a naked woman at a Waffle House in Georgia with a stun gun is if you're the police officer using the stun gun, there's pretty much no place that you can't hit her. No, I just think about that for a minute. No matter, you take aim at a naked woman at a Waffle House, no matter where the taser hits her, those little spikes, is good. Normally, you have to, if someone is wearing clothing, you have to sort of line up your shot because there's articles of clothing in the way. No problem here. I want to know where he hit her. What is it? What was it in the gluteus maximus? I don't know. Okay. So she's being held in the Cobb County Jail The popular 24-hour restaurant chain has drawn attention in several states recently as the scenes of criminal attacks and unsavory behavior. Now, they're acting like this is unusual and some kind of a big deal. Well, of course it was unsavory attacks and unusual behavior. Of course it was. It's a Waffle House. What exactly did you expect was going to happen? It's a Waffle House. So this is exactly where this kind of activity is expected to happen. So if you were in Georgia at a Waffle House and some woman just threw off her clothes and started jumping around, punching patrons and throwing dishes around, and the police had to come in and tase her to the ground, you should not sit there acting as if this is anything unusual. Not in Georgia, anyways. Nothing unusual whatsoever. So the reason why it doesn't make much in the way of local news in Georgia is that's just, I think the only thing unusual about it is it happened on Thursday night. It didn't happen on Friday, Saturday night. Because that's usually a weekend event at a Waffle House or someplace like that. So, okay, there's your big opening story that grabs your attention, all right? You feel better now? Okay, here's another reason I gave you that story. As we head into the weekend, a lot of you folks are going to go out and have a good time with your friends. I hope you have friends. I hope you're going to have a good time with them. What I do on Fridays is I try to find a story for you that'll sort of set you up. So you are the life of the party. So you can, when there's a lull in the conversation, and trust me, don't go in there. Do not walk into, let's say you're going to your local watering hole or whatever. Do not walk in there with the story that I just gave you and just launch all over it immediately. Don't do it. Relax. Give it time. Okay, you've got to wait for the right moment. You have to wait until people have had a few drinks in them. Okay, until there's a bit of a lull in the conversation. Then you jump in with this story. So timing is everything. I just gave you a gem. You are going to be the life of the party. You can thank the Dan for this. Dan came in and was having a conversation with me before the whole program started, and he handed me the story. And the next one that I'm going to tell you about. Now we can step away from the news I got some real hard news for you. Okay, and we'll get into that as the program goes on. But if you're anything like me, during the course of the week, it just kind of wears on you after a while, doesn't it? Okay. You're welcome. And I would like to know on Monday if you guys had any kind of success with this story. Just go ahead and call the show and let me know. Your National Dead Clock Countdown for January 15th, 2016. 18,882 billion. And now a message from future generations.
You left us with more of a debt than we could ever possibly hope to pay back.
Well, I failed to see how that's our problem. This has been your National Dead Clock Count. Safety is the number one priority in any workplace. Employers and employees alike all want to live and work in a safe environment because, let's face it, we work for our families and we need to come home to them. That's why you should use Freedom Fighters Community Solutions for your pre-employment random or workplace accident drug and alcohol testing. Everything is tested on-site, and Freedom Fighters Community Solutions is the only company in the area that can get the most accurate results quickly. Don't take chances with your life, your business, or your employees. Go to Freedom Fighters Community Solutions. For more information, call Freedom Fighters Community Solutions at 307-696-6150. That's 307-696-6150. 307-696-6150.
Honey, I'm heading back to the office.
You're working late on a Tuesday? Again?
Watch the kids. They haven't eaten yet.
Wow, she really puts in a lot of hours. That's a hard-working woman.
Hard-working.
Yeah. Every Tuesday night beginning October 6th, it's the office shenanigans for the ladies at the office Saloon in Gillette, Wyoming, with a round-robin ladies tournament including 2 games of darts, 1 game of shuffleboard, 1 game of pool. Show up with your friends or family or form a team when you arrive. Show up any Tuesday to participate, all for just an $8 entry fee.
Wait, you can't do that without drink specials.
And we've got them. How about raspberry cozy shots for $3 and razzmatazz mixed drinks, also $3.
I am so proud of my wife. She works so hard.
The Office Saloon, Gillette, Wyoming, 1400 North Highway 1416, out toward the airport. Oh yeah, that's a hard-working woman.
So I was driving through Nebraska last week, and it was so flat.
Like the football in last year's championship game.
Yeah, the flat gate, that was flat. Or like that beer that you tried to make.
No, Lord, that was flat. Like my bank account, I am flat broke.
Wait, you know what's not flat? Jack's Liquor.
Beer's not flat.
The drinks aren't flat.
Music's not flat.
And the atmosphere, that's definitely not flat.
Definitely not flat.
Monday Night Football at Jack's. 16-ounce Bud Light cans, only $2.75. Jack's Liquor and Bar, the Adult Daycare Center, 302 East 2nd Street, across from Napa Auto Parts.
How you like my haircut?
Flat top? Really?
Hi, this is Sal from the Liberal Clearinghouse, inviting you to come on down and get what you can before it all goes. Remember, the Liberal Clearinghouse is staffed by unemployed college students and Common Core dropouts. So it's pretty much self-serve down here. We have a wide selection of broken wind turbines, solar panels, unsold electric cars. Get them before they catch on fire. For the internet junkies, we have special deals on government-produced internet viruses, surveillance software, and crash websites. Everything must go. Are you an unemployed doctor or a patient that can't afford an unemployed doctor? We have them both. We have abandoned HUD homes, abandoned tenant houses, abandoned skyscrapers, abandoned cities like Detroit, and abandoned websites like Obamacare. Hurry, hurry, hurry. We are borrowing money from the grandkids tomorrow so that you can afford the subsidies to purchase today. So come see the Liberal Clearinghouse today before it winds up on the scrap heap of tomorrow. Thank you.
All right, I think I got this. He makes it his business to know the government's business and how they're all up in your business so you can go about your business. Oh, where was I going with this? Kind of lost track. Anywho, Glenn is back on the air now. Yep, there he is.
All right, 307-363-4093 is the phone number. If you just tuned in and you didn't catch the story about the naked woman in Georgia who just threw her clothes off and went on a rampage, punching people and throwing dishes at a Waffle House, well, you just have to back the program up. I just go online, go to the audio archives at boldrepublic.com, because I'm not going to go through all that all over again. That was good. That was great radio. That was exhausting. Next headline. And for this next headline, once again, you can give credit to the Dan for bringing this headline to you. And I do rely on people around me to find stuff that I would normally never look for. By the way, when I asked the Dan, where do you find stories like these? He didn't answer me. I think he refuses to answer. Well, I mean, that's job security, isn't it? All right, here's the story here. Unclear why a Rhode Island official persuaded a man to dress up as an elderly woman for a photo op. I'm pausing there so that can sink in. I had to double check. This is not like Onion News or something like that, is it? No, it's not at all. Here's the story again. Ready? Unclear as to why a Rhode Island official persuaded a man to dress up as an elderly woman for a photo op. By the way, this guy makes a real ugly woman. Cranston, Rhode Island. City official who wanted to include an elderly woman in a photo op about snow shoveling program persuaded a middle-aged man to dress up in a wig, earrings, lipstick, and a dress. See, what bothers me about this story is I wonder, did this person agree to do this because they enjoy dressing up like that? It's another story. I'm not getting into it. The man stood next to the mayor at the news conference touting the program and wore a name tag that said Cranston Senior Home Resident. It's unclear why officials decided to have the stand-in woman during the January 5th news conference, which was held at the senior center where the man worked as a van driver. Sue Stenhouse, the city's director, senior services organizer at the news conference, she resigned last week, according to the city's director and administrator. I wonder why. Maybe she wanted the job, but they decided to go for this dude instead. I don't know. Maybe she resigned, so they replaced him with the dude. People who answered the phone about the senior center really had no comment on this. This might be another one of those towns where it's unusual to you and me, but it's just status quo for the town. 2 city councilmen told the Providence Journal they believe the stunt was meant to deceive the public. Oh, okay. So we're going tin-headed conspiracy on this. Deceive the public. How? Why? For what purpose would you use a ploy like this to deceive the public? Okay. Well, we'll find out. If any conspiracy theorists out there can figure this out, please let me know. Meanwhile, a hair salon owner told a local TV station she unwittingly supplied the wig for the caper. So apparently, the mayor walks in, can I borrow a wig for this? I have to get dressed as a senior, said the guy. Later, she realized when she saw it on TV, oh man, that was the wig and so on. Okay. So that's how they roll up there in Rhode Island for some strange reason. Now, you can see, obviously, why, while that's an interesting story, especially if you see the picture of the guy dressed up as a woman, you can see why it's an interesting story, and I would bother to tell you the story. You can also see, if you know anything about the radio business or just broadcasting in general, just think about ratings, as to why I would tell you the story second. See, the lead story has to be the woman who went on a naked rampage at the Waffle House in Georgia, unless I was one of those tabloid news shows. Now, everybody here knows how the tabloid news shows do it, don't you? Tabloid news shows would hit you with a teaser about the naked woman at the Waffle House, and they would tease you through the entire program. Only when you got to the end of the program would they finally tell you what it was all about, their intention to drag you through the entire program. I have great news. I have good stuff for the entire 3 hours, now 2.5 hours left of this program. Trust me, I can keep the pace up. But just so you know, I don't play that game with you. If I have a hot headline, I'm going to tell you the hot headline right smack out of the box. Now, the only problem that I face after giving you guys all of this, next Friday rolls around. Dan, you out there? I have no idea how to top this. Stories like this don't come along very often. I think, Dan, we might have to get you a bus ticket and send you down to Georgia so you can hang out at the local Walmart or dollar store or something like that. Then maybe we could talk. I think Walmart needs a viewing gallery. They could charge a lot for that, you know. Do you pay much attention to politics? So what, do you get your news from Facebook, Twitter, maybe some late night comedy show? Do you even have any idea who your senator is? Who's the vice president? So how do you decide who you're going to vote for? What, do you flip a coin? Every election season, there are get out the vote campaigns, asking completely unqualified voters to show up at the polls at the last minute and flip a coin. So, this election season, Bold Republic is sponsoring the Stay Out of the Vote campaign. If you've spent the past 2 years completely uninformed and out of the loop, then do your country a favor. Don't show up at the polls. Don't vote. Take the day off, go to the beach, hang out at your local bar, watch a ball game instead, or check out some reality TV. Our nation's in sad shape because people like you have been voting. So this year, do your country a favor. Stay home. Stay out of the vote. America is depending on your apathy. Brought to you by the campaign to promote uninformed voter apathy. Stop! Did you get permission to do that?
What? I just need to use the bathroom.
Well, in today's America, you pretty much need permission from the government to do everything.
I need permission to go number 2?
Have you thought of the environmental impact of what you're about to do?
I'm thinking I'm going to explode if I don't.
How can you be sure if you're breaking the law? Or do you need a permit?
I don't think I care at this point, so how do I get government permission to use the toilet?
Well, now brought to you by the same people who created the Obamacare website. There's an app for that.
I think it just crashed. I really don't have time for this.
Yes, just hold up this handy cell phone app and ask, can I do that?
It crashed again. Come on, I can't hold it this long.
And a handy list of government agencies will cascade down before your eyes, complete with all the paperwork you're going to need to fill out, fees, government studies, and estimated time until your application process is done. Now that the paperwork is complete and you've paid your fines and fees, you can go ahead.
I think I already did.
So let's see what happens if I just go ahead and call the offices of the NSA. That's odd.
Hello, Glenn. This is the NSA.
I was just
going to call us? Right. We heard.
Well, this can't possibly get any creepier.
We thought we would save you the trouble of looking the number up, sir. By the way, you shouldn't wear that color of shirt on camera.
I look fine on camera.
No, sir. I mean our camera.
And it just got creepy.
By the way, we found that email you were looking for this morning.
How did you... Oh, right.
Just trying to be helpful, sir. You know our motto.
Let me guess. NSA, watching you every step of the way.
Cradle to the grave, sir, and beyond.
Gas-powered, diesel-powered, but have you ever considered driving a coal-powered car? Yes, overpriced, heavily subsidized electric cars are available now. I'm sure they'll take all night to charge, and they don't get anywhere near the mileage a gas-powered vehicle gets, and those toxic batteries made from rare earth minerals. Well, but by driving an all-electric car, you're supporting one of America's most important industries. Coal. That's because coal is used to generate 49% of America's electricity. Petroleum and nuclear produce most of the rest. Hydroelectric only produces 7%. Those so-called renewable energies, which take more mining for rare earth minerals, leaves toxic chemicals as a byproduct and toxic batteries. And let's not forget those wind turbines, killing about an estimated 500,000 birds a year in North America alone. Well, they only produce about 2% of America's energy. That's why we encourage you to start driving coal today. The coal is plentiful and cheap, and by driving a coal-powered car, you'll be helping to fight the Obama administration's war on coal. So go on, buy an electric car, support a great American industry, and drive coal.
This show runs on lots of cigars and lots of coffee. So it's sort of like a London fog look in the studio.
With that hyper-nervous feeling, as if Jack the Ripper was on the loose.
Creepy, but entertaining. It's Glenn Woods.
It's a Friday edition, Bold Republic Radio Show. My name's Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. Phone number to get involved. And yeah, you can change the subject all you want. 307-363-4093. is the number 7-363-4093. As always, pretty much everything I'm talking about, a whole lot more, you find it on my website, which is boldrepublic.com. So, next up on the agenda here, this is somebody who just can't understand, like our president, doesn't understand for whatever reason how the world really works. Now, to set this guy up, back during Gulf War I, if you will, the 1 or 2, I forget which one. No, it's 2, because we were in Baghdad at the time. And there were a bunch of peace activists that decided to send half of their group to Baghdad to sit and have a conversation with the terrorists that were in Baghdad. If they could just sit down and reason with the terrorists in Baghdad, then we can end this whole thing. They apologize for Bush. They reason with these people, and it's over. It's just a matter of communication. And of course, they were captured and tied up, and there's a video of them with machetes to the backs of their necks. And it took a combination of British and U.S. military to find them and rescue them. And they just can't handle the idea that there are people in the world that can't be reasoned with, and that the military, of all people, rescued them. Well, here we go again. A guy who hasn't learned that lesson, maybe he never heard the story. Meet the folk singer who will end hostilities with ISIS because he's going to go sing them a song. All right. All you have to do is show up and sing them a song about peace and love and joy, and it's over with, right? They're probably going to strangle him with his guitar strings. Here is the story. The Oregon folk singer plans to leave next week to serenade the Islamic State, the group formerly known as ISIS. We now call them pigs, pseudo-Islamic genocidal sadists. He intends to bring the black-clad barbarians a prayerful message of peace, despite warnings from the State Department that his life is in danger. James Toman, Portland, Oregon, said he feels the calling and believes he can soften the hearts of the Islamic Army, known for beheading Westerners, throwing homosexuals off of buildings, and summarily executing women and children. He says it's going to be pretty powerful. Oh, yeah. Let me tell you what powerful is. The feeling of your own guitar slapped upside the back of your head, then getting strangled with the guitar strings. That's pretty powerful. But anyway, he said, referring to his plans to have those attending and others around the world sing and pray for peace at the same time. When people come together and focus on something in a positive way, there's scientific evidence that it can bring things into the better. Stop for just a minute here, because I can go on with what he said. You get the gist of it. He might talk about the scientific evidence of it. Let me tell you about the scientific evidence of something else. Mental disorders exist. Crazy exists. Tyranny exists. And time again throughout the history of our race, human race, it's been shown, unfortunately, that you can't just go and sit down and talk with these people and reason with them. This guy's life really is in danger. Well, as bad as he is, there's also the President of the United States, who maybe not as bad. I mean, the president didn't actually show up and sing a Kumbaya song to the Iranians. But when you look at the actions of the Obama administration, can you show me? Can you figure it out? Show me where they're too much different. I don't think you can really show where they're too much different, can you? They have this idea that all you have to do is sit down and negotiate with them and try to appease them. How many times have we tried that with tyranny, with rapists and murderers and genocidal maniacs? I mean, think about it this way. The group formerly known as ISIS, now known as pigs, think nothing of putting a man in a cage and setting him on fire. think nothing of beheading men, women, and little children and infants, of dumping people into mass graves. They actually think they're doing a good thing. This guy thinks he's just going to show up with a guitar and just kumbaya them into peace. He's not very different from our president, is he?
Bold Republic.
We have some unusual technology. Unlike anything else in the world, it doesn't wear out or become outdated in a few months or even a few years. Learning curve on how to use it and fully enjoy it? None. Rather than become outdated, it's timeless. Rather than become obsolete as the years go by, it becomes one of life's most treasured possessions. What is this unusual technology? It's a diamond. I'm Bruce Marshall. Come see what our rock scientists have for you and the ones you love. Marshall Jewelry, where she'll love it, guaranteed.
So I was driving through Nebraska last week, and it was so flat.
Like the football in last year's championship game.
Yeah, the flat gate, that was flat. Or like that beer that you tried to make.
No, Lord, that was flat. Like my bank account, I am flat broke.
Wait, you know what's not flat? Jack's Liquor.
Beer's not flat.
The drinks aren't flat.
Music's not flat.
And the atmosphere, that's definitely not flat.
Definitely not flat.
Monday Night Football at Jack's. 16-ounce Bud Light cans, only $2.75. Jack's Liquor and Bar, the Adult Daycare Center, 302 East 2nd Street, across from Napa Auto Parts.
I like my haircut.
Flat top? Really?
Hi, my name is Jacqueline McKinney, owner of Fast and Furious Detailing. Do you need your RV or toy hauler cleaned? We will get it ready for you, so all you have to do is go have some fun. Or how about after fun, we can clean it up. We will even wash all of your bedding for you. Does your boat have dark film all around the outside of it? No problem. Fast and Furious Detailing is a full-service detailing company. We detail cars, SUVs, trucks, RVs, toy haulers, boats, ATVs, UTVs, and motorcycles. Fast and Furious Detailing hopes you can find everything you need. Our company is focused on providing high-quality service and customer satisfaction. We will do everything we can to meet your expectations. With a variety of offerings to choose from, we're sure you'll be happy working with us. We're located at 5753 South Winland Drive, and our phone number is 307-682-2470.
Hey, Frank, you're actually gonna fall for that hook, are you? I'm just so hungry, and the lure looks so good. Yeah, well, just look up through the ice hole at that guy. Yeah, he's got all the latest gear, doesn't he? He's so warm and comfortable, and the top window sportsman clothing, the fishing pole, and the best lures, nice comfortable chairs, coolers, warmers. He's got it all. I can't stand it. I'm gonna bite the hook. Are you seriously gonna fall for that? No, it's just that it has to be warmer up there above the ice than down here in the water. Yeah, and that frying pan he's got on the fire's a lot warmer.
Rocky Mountain Discount Sports has everything that the ice fisherman needs for the winter. Lines and lures, rods and reels. Special outfits to keep you warm, tents to keep the wind away, and the right kind of lures for winter fishing. Rocky Mountain Discount Sports, 4706 South Douglas Highway in Gillette, Wyoming. Open Monday through Saturday, 8 till 9, Sunday 9 to 6.
What's a good cup of coffee if you can't spit it across the dashboard now and then, right? Oh yeah, and ruin a good work shirt. Sure, burn the hell out of your inner thighs. We know what you need though in a radio program.
Irreverent but honest, and tastefully tacky. It's Glenn Woods.
So, okay, every so often I give you a story out of Chicagoland about how many people died in what is essentially pretty close to a gun-free zone. It was, at one point, Chicago was entirely a gun-free zone. Not so much anymore. You're allowed to get one, just good luck going through the permitting process. Some of the strictest rules and regulations in the country. All right. So every single week, I give you some of the numbers from Chicago on who died over the weekend. By the way, the group that does that starts counting Friday night. So tonight, they're going to start counting. And Monday, I'm going to have another body count. How about some good news from Chicago?
Well, I like guns, I like the way they look. I like the shiny steel and the polished wood. I don't care if they're big or small. They're for sale, hell, I want them all. I like guns, I like guns, I like guns.
More news organizations around the country are actually trying to do news stories about good guy with gun. Well, to debunk, as they think. They think they're debunking the theory of a good guy with a gun. And they try to show reporters, started with The Daily Show, and they got the idea from there, and they stole it. And they have a reporter go through some training, and then the reporter is thrown into some scenario where he's supposed to react, and of course he fails. And this is supposed to debunk the idea that a good guy with a gun can stop a bad guy with a gun. Yet several times a week, I give you guys stories of a good guy with a gun who was in. There's no guarantee. If a bad guy with a gun showed up where you are right now and you had a gun, you pulled yours, you might be the first one shot down. Or you might actually stop something from happening. Like in this case, 2 Chicago thugs, glad they named them properly, learned the hard way that good guys with guns will shoot back. The 2 thugs were shot by a man with a legally concealed carry weapon. Tough to get in Chicago. Legally concealed carry weapon during an attempted robbery on Wednesday. 2 criminals entered the T-Mobile store armed with guns and attempted to rob the store after pretending to shop. They learned, however, that bullets can go both ways when a store employee pulled out his gun and opened fire. Both robbers fled in a hail of bullets raining down on them. But before, they were struck multiple times, by the way, so it's not like this guy missed. Police took them into custody. They were rushed to the hospital. Both remain in serious condition. Neil Tardros, Tadros, the T-Mobile store manager, was very appreciative of his employee that he was carrying that gun. Quote, I think concealed carry is a great opportunity for managers, workers, employees to protect themselves in these cases. And our employee did a great job of protecting himself and the other employees in the room. So there you go. Once again, a good guy with a gun was on the scene and was able to stop a couple of bad guys with a gun. Bad guys who walked into the T-Mobile store and did not expect any resistance. And the moment that there was a sign of resistance, they turned and ran. Which, how many times have you heard this? Who are the cowards out there, really? Well, you know, a criminal that tries to kick the door open of grandma's house is a coward. He is, because he's thinking grandma is about as defenseless as they get. And so that's why he's kicking the door open of grandma's house. Or these 2 guys who go into a T-Mobile store. Why are they going in there? Well, who in a cell phone store has a gun, for Pete's sakes? Well, that's just ridiculous. No one in a cell phone store actually has a gun, do they? There was a story I gave from Ocala, Florida. Ocala is just a little above Orlando, just so you know. From Ocala, Florida, there was an internet cafe, and a couple of punk thugs went into the internet cafe to rob all of the customers and the patron of the place. And they ran out in a hail of bullets because some old guy, old enough at the time that he had actually, stormed the beaches of Normandy, and he kept a gun on him. And so this old guy turns his gun on the thugs that are rushing into the cafe, sends them running, sends them to the hospital too. So you see, as your local press tries to debunk the good guy with a gun story, you and I both know it's real. Remember when the President of the United States promised this?
If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor.
Well, now you can.
Honey, it's Dr. Phillips. What a surprise. Is this a social call?
Well, sort of. More like a socialist call.
Yes, now because of the intrusion of big government on the medical industry, you can have a doctor in the privacy of your own home.
Well, I'm going to have to move in with you. That is, if you want to keep your healthcare provider.
I'm sorry, what?
Yes, since you're going out of business, you can find out how to keep your own doctor in the privacy of your own home just by going to healthcare.gov. Oh, wait. That website's not working. Well, just look on a street corner for a doctor holding up a "Will Medicate for Food" sign. Invite him on home.
I have nowhere else to go.
Keep him in your guest room, your basement.
Well, Chris is off to college. He can use that room.
Absolutely not.
Well, he can help me with my gout.
Go! I'm good at go!
Brought to you by the Obama administration, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Washington, D.C. Jenkins!
Yes, sir. Here, sir.
Jenkins, I've decided to go ahead and purchase those new company vehicles.
Sir, we talked about this. Our company doesn't need company vehicles for anything. There's simply no reason to buy them.
Oh, yes, I know.
And we certainly don't need to be overcharged for those SUVs.
Oh, no, we don't.
Luxury SUVs.
6 doors.
With hot tubs.
Love those bubbles.
Each with a 52-inch flat screen TV.
That missed the big game.
And solar-powered martini makers.
Shanked, not sure.
With a ride-along hibachi shaft.
And those chrome wheels mounts that spin all on their own.
And 32-inch subwoofers.
Get down with your bad self.
And we're in debt up to our eyeballs as it is, sir.
Right you are.
So were you planning to borrow even more money to buy these things?
Yes, but don't worry. I'm just going to keep this off the books. You can't see the problem? There is no problem.
Sir, private sector business is not for you. I'd like you to run for the U.S. Senate.
You know, I've often thought about it.
You'd fit right in, sir.
If you're a free-thinking individual, you'll love this show. If you're not, well, I hear Justin Bieber is twerking with Miley on the pop station. Ew. For the thinkers, here's Glenn Woods.
Who's never twerked in his life?
It's the Bold Republic Radio Show. My name's Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. Okay, thank you very much. Good night. 307-363-4093 is the phone number. That's 307-363-4093. And again, pretty much everything I talk about and a whole lot more. Come on, you know how this works now. BoldRepublic.com. That's the website. So apparently there's a new excuse out there amongst climate alarmists. Now, first off, they're trying to convince you. They tried to convince you that 2013 was the hottest year on record. Then they try, and it wasn't. Then they try to convince you that 2014 was the hottest year on record. And it wasn't. Then they try to convince you 2015. Even the president during his State of Delusion address. Oh, 2015, hottest year on record. And it wasn't. In fact, we are coming up on 18 years and 10 months now of a pause. So yes, we've had warm years and cold years. But when you average it across the graph, you find out that the temperatures have not gone up or down. On the graph, we're not trending up or trending down. It's flatline. And mostly it's the satellite data that's showing you this. Well, okay, what do you do if those damn satellites up there are just proving you wrong? Well, of course, what you do is say that there's a problem with the satellites. Now, this has been a problem, before I read you the story, this has been a major problem with the climate alarmists all along. When reality doesn't fit their data, they change or manipulate the data, they change or manipulate past data, they invent data. They don't look at the reality of it. They're not actually interested in what is going on in the real world. They want their theories and climate models to work, whether they work or not. Okay, so here's the story. Headline is Climate Alarmists Invent a New Excuse. The satellites are lying. See, we put a bunch of lying, no good satellites up there. Climate alarmists have come up with a brilliant new excuse, the story says, to explain why there has been no global warming for nearly 19 years. Turns out the data is lying. And to prove it, they came up with a glossy video starring such entirely trustworthy and not at all biased experts as Hockey Stick Man, Michael Mann. And let me see, there's another one here. Well, there's several. Oh, Ben Satire. Well, they're all people who are big in the warmist communities. The video is well produced, clearly constructed, designed to look measured and reasonable, rather than another shoddy hit job in the ongoing climate wars, says the story. Well, the experts adopt a tone of a more sorrow than anger and gently express their reservations about reliability of satellite data. Let me stop for just a minute here. I'm going to ask a question, but before I finish the question, you already know the answer to it. What if the satellite data was telling them exactly what their climate models had said? Well, then the satellites are brilliant. The satellites are trustworthy. But when the satellites come along and show data that contradicts their climate models, and their climate models always fail, well, of course, it's got to be the satellites that are the problem, not their modeling, not their math, not their theory. The accuracy was acknowledged 25 years ago by NASA, which said that satellite analysis of the upper atmosphere is more accurate and should be adopted as the standard way to monitor temperature change. More recent, though, climate alarmists have grown increasingly resentful of the satellite temperature record because of its pesky refusal to show the warming trend they'd like it to show. Instead, it shows that we've been flatlined for almost 19 years now. So the alarmist preference for land and sea-based temperature database show the warming trend that they want to show. And we've already talked before about, we've talked about this many times before, where we have found a lot of the thermometers, if you will, that are supposed to be measuring temperatures on the ground. Oh, let's just go ahead and put it on the tarmac near an airport, for example, or next to an air conditioning unit. Now, for those people watching on a video stream here, I've got a graph that shows the average of, well, according to their climate models, where the temperatures are supposed to be going. And if you look at this, you see there's a red line. For those listening audio, radio stations and app and Spreaker, I'll explain it to you. There's a graph that shows a red line that kind of bobs a bit and then suddenly just shoots toward the ceiling. That's the predictions that they've been making. But when you look at where the reality of it is, which is the satellite data, what you see is, well, there's been a little bit of an uptick over time, but nowhere near what they predicted. Those darn satellites, there's got to be something wrong with them. And so you have to bring the so-called experts in to debunk the satellites. Well, see, once again, if the satellites have been saying everything that these guys wanted to hear, do you think they would have made a video saying that the satellites are lying? Okay. No, okay, we get it.
We mustn't let another day go by without discussing the truly big cultural news of recent days. Playboy magazine will no longer feature the pictures of naked women that used to be its trademark. Scott Flanders, Playboy's chief executive, announced the decision to the New York Times, a former newspaper, which had recently made a similar decision to no longer feature the naked truth that used to be its trademark. Flanders told the Times Playboy would stop publishing nudes because, quote, and this is a real quote, "The battle has been won. You're now one click away from every sex act imaginable for free." Wow. Thanks, Playboy. You know, folks, in the same way it's easy to forget that our forefathers once sacrificed and died so that we can enjoy our constitutional freedoms, it sometimes also slips our minds that the editors of Playboy magazine once had to fight the good fight so that we could one day come to treat women like soulless objects with no other reason for existing than to take off their clothes on camera in order to provide us an empty moment of solitary physical pleasure. You young people out there may not realize this, but there was a time when a man had to look a shopkeeper in the eye in order to buy his pornography. In those unenlightened days, you were made to feel guilty and ashamed just because you were debasing yourself and providing a market for another human being's sexual degradation. Back then, you couldn't just take a photo of your girlfriend in an intimate moment and then publish it online for revenge after you broke up. You had to slink into a store and shell out your hard-earned money, and even then, you only got a picture of a perfect stranger being cheapened and disrespected and humiliated. See, before Playboy, women were culturally conditioned to feel ashamed of reducing themselves to meaningless eye candy. They were oppressed into believing sex should be connected to affection and responsibility, so you had to be nice to them. And then, if they decided you weren't going to throw your whole life away taking care of them and, talking to them and stuff, they might not do anything for you, and you couldn't just go off and lock yourself in a bedroom with your computer. If it weren't for Playboy, you'd have had to reconsider your entire demeaning attitude toward the opposite sex. And consider it from the poor women's perspective, too. In those pre-Playboy days, a girl might go to bed with a guy one time and wake up to find herself trapped in a lifelong relationship of mutual care and goodwill. Soon they'd be stuck at home with the meaningless drudgery of turning helpless infants into loved and joyful and responsible adults, instead of picking up easy cash by flaunting their bodies for a nameless, drooling multitude. So thank you, Playboy. You're right. The battle is won. Your efforts have helped to free us just a little bit from the irritating burden of treating one another like human beings. We salute you and say, trigger warning, I'm Andrew Clavin, and this is The Andrew Clavin Show.
Grilling and chilling. Great barbecue, Barack. I'll have my burger rare.
Ugh, gross. I'll have mine well done.
Relax, friends. I'm sure we can work out some happy medium burger. Now neither of us are happy.
Barack, my shish kebab fell in the dirt. I know it's ruined.
Here's another shish kebab. Just be more responsible with this one.
Oh, man, it fell in the dirt again. I'm sorry. I thought it was too big to fall.
Well, here's one last shish kebab.
Stop bailing him out! Man, nothing about this barbecue is going the way I expected.
Well, what's wrong, Trev?
Well, for one thing, there's that grill. I distinctly remember you saying the first thing you're going to do is close that grill.
Look, I know. There's some terrible things going on inside that grill, but I can't find anywhere else to put the meat. Hey, neighbor, you want to take some of this meat?
Not in my backyard.
Turn talk about?
Barack, that pork chop is a lost cause. Why are you turning up the heat?
Well, I'm not willing to say that we've lost this pork chop. I'm going to turn up the heat really high for a little while, and then I promise to turn it way, way down.
It does have a lot of oil under it.
Hey, Barack, I'll take 2 burgers. Whoa, we can't let burgers get together with other burgers.
We can't?
Lunch is between a burger and a hot dog.
I thought you said you were going to let 2 burgers share the same plate.
Never said that. But how about 2 burgers on a napkin?
Napkins don't have the same benefits as paper plates.
Barack, a whole shitload of ants just got into the punch bowl. No worries, I'll handle it. You're not going to get angry?
Are you hearing this? He's not even a little bit angry about the ants.
It's a complicated situation, all right? It requires a lot of...
real grill master would get angry.
Fine, I'm angry, but I'm just waiting to find out whose ass to kick.
Whoa.
Did you guys hear that?
Completely ridiculous.
Wildly inappropriate. But you just said that...
Hey, how come only 3 people have potato salad? In Europe, everyone gets potato salad.
I believe that everyone here should be entitled to potato salad.
All right, it's about time. Wait a minute. Who's paying for that potato salad?
I just thought we could all chip in.
No.
Money
for that?
Guys, I think Barack is throwing an excellent barbecue.
Yeah, especially considering how crappy the last couple of barbecues have been.
For some reason, I just thought that this was going to be an incredible, magical barbecue. You know, it was going to change all of our lives.
Well, that just seems a little unreasonable.
Guys, there's been a terrible oil spill.
An oil and vinegar spill?
What? No, actual oil, crude oil in the ocean. We have to do something about it. I can't believe you guys are just sitting around having a barbecue. There is a legit oil spill happening in the ocean right now.
This potato salad is f***ing delicious.
I'm American. That's right. I'm American. Got a picture raking above my fire. Next to the deer I shot with my rifle. NRA, hell yeah, I support them. I hate my job and I hate my boss, but I love my country and I pray to God that the Cowboys win. Just clap your hands if you love our country, if you love our land. That's right. And if you're not clapping your hands, you're a terrorist and you eat sand. Sandwich.
Irreverent, but honest and tastefully tacky somehow. Here comes another hour of insensitivity training with Glenn Woods.
And I live in America. Come on. And I live in America. I'm American.
It's a Friday edition of the Bold Republic Radio Show. My name's Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. Phone number to get involved, and you're allowed to change the subject all you want. Easy to do. 307-363-4093 is the number. That's 307-363-4093. And, of course, pretty much everything I'm talking about and a whole lot more, you find it on my website, boldrepublic.com. Yesterday, I went into a little bit of a rant again, telling you guys why polls just don't matter. They just simply don't. It's a waste of time. It's the media looking to fill space in their newspapers, airtime on a television network that runs 24 hours a day news. They have to have something to fill the time. So they go ahead and do all sorts of polls, then bring in all sorts of so-called experts and have conversations about stuff that just doesn't matter at all. Now, having said that, today, as I'm looking around for what to talk to you guys about, I come across this from the Reason Foundation. Why polls don't work. Now, before I get into this, so you know, those that are, let's say, Trump supporters, I'm not picking on Trump. I'm just saying those who are Trump supporters. You look at the polls and you go, yay, he's way ahead. It doesn't matter. If he was way behind, it wouldn't matter. That's not what's going to decide. Very rarely are polls correct in things like this. I'm about to get into why. But before we do that, ladies and gentlemen, with an in-depth look at polls, I give you Tim from Tampa reporting live, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, Glenn.
Hi, Tim. What do you got?
Did you hear about the winner of the Polish beauty contest?
No.
Me neither.
Tim from Tampa. Thank you, Tim.
You're welcome.
There you go. Okay, well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. So that's all you need to know about the polls, according to Tim from Tampa. And if you would like to know how to get a hold of him and complain, I can give you that information. I don't mind throwing him under the bus. October 7th, 2015, according to the story from the Reason Foundation. The most famous brand in public opinion polling announced it was getting out of the horse race survey business. Henceforth, Gallup. Remember Gallup? Gallup is no longer polling Americans on whom they would vote for in this if the election were held today. Quote, we believe to put time and money and brain power into understanding the issues and priorities is where we can have most impact, according to the Gallup editor. Now, other operations are focusing on predicting voter behavior and things like that. And of course, well, here's some of the cases where they're wrong. Gallup, which is changing, other poll organizations are diving into it because it's big money with the 24-hour news cycle right now. The day before the 2014 midterms, all the major forecasts declared that the Republicans likely were going to take back the Senate. Princeton Election Consortium put the odds at 64%. Washington Post, the most bullish of all, put them at 98%. But the Crook Political Report considered all 9 competitive seats to be a toss-up too close to call, and very few thought likely that the Republicans would win in a landslide. The conventional wisdom, which you know is neither conventional nor wise, had it that the party would end up with a 53 seat at most, and some commentators floated the possibility that even the most numbers were biased in favor of the GOP. The week before the election, for example, the Huff pollster noted that polling in 2006 and 2010 midterm elections and said that 2012 presidential election all understated the Democrat candidates. A similar misfire in 2014 could reverse the Republican leads in a small handful of states. So we soon learned that the polls were actually overstating Democrat support. The GOP ended up with 54 Senate seats, and it was a close call for Kansas and Iowa, which wasn't supposed to be, according to the polls, a close call. The following March, something similar happened in Israel. Both pre-election and exit polling called for a tight race with the Likud party headed by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the Zionist Union Party, and there was a couple of other parties. Remember that Netanyahu was not supposed to win that thing. It turned out to be a landslide for Netanyahu. Where were the polls? And just so you know, a lot of the polling organizations in Israel are, not all of them, but a lot of them are the same companies that do polls here in America. So you would think they would have their act together. Completely misread that thing. Everybody was stunned. Netanyahu won? How is he still in office? All the polls said. What I love is hearing the conspiracy theorists that come out and say, well, it's not possible that so-and-so won because the polls said they were way behind. Now, that pattern repeated itself over the summer, this time United Kingdom, where the 2015 parliamentary election was roundly expected to produce a stalemate. A few polls gave the Conservative Party a slight lead, but not nearly enough to be any kind of a guarantee. So you can imagine the surprise when the Tories managed to grab 330 of 650 seats. Not just a plurality, but an outright majority. And the Labor and Democrat parties, meanwhile, lost constituencies all around. Then there was Kentucky. Now, for this, we got to go back to this past November. Last November, the Republican gubernatorial candidate, Matt Bevin, a venture capitalist with Mitch McConnell, had trounced a year earlier the Senate primary contest. As mid-October, Bevin trailed his Democrat opponent by 7 points. By Halloween, he had narrowed the gap, but still expected to lose. At no point was Bevin ahead in the polls. Yet Bevin not only won, he won by a 9-point margin. So why does this just keep happening? The morning after the UK missed, the president of the British online polling outfit, YouGov, yes, YouGov, was asked, so what went wrong? He answered, is that people have said one thing, then they do something else at the ballot box. Look, I can't give you the reasons. We can get into the psychology of it if you want to. I can't give you all the reasons that polls are wrong. If you and I sat here and kind of kicked around a few ideas, I'm sure we could come up with a few reasons. But there's probably a multitude more that you and I would have never thought of. So until recently, the story of polling seemed to be, something that was continuing to improve all over time. Technology advanced, our grasp of theory advanced, public outcome and so on. But then we started having problems again. There have been major polling blunders, including one that led to the Dewey defeat Truman headline in 1948. We'll go way back to that. But since then, we've had other major blunders like that until Gallup burst onto the scene. There was a thing called the Literary Digest. It was America's survey of record. Well, the weekly magazine had managed to correctly predict, I should say, the outcome of the previous presidential races using wholly unscientific methods of mailing out postcards to people who said they were planning to vote. They actually got better results. Oh, by the way, let me get away from polling for a minute and address the so-called experts. Now, I'm not a sports fan, but for you sports fans out there, these pregame shows, you hear all these so-called experts sitting there talking smack about what's going to happen on the pregame show. Then the game happens. How often does it happen the way these guys predicted? All right, now I can tell you a fun story on that. When I was working in Tampa, the radio station I was on had a weekend sports show. And I would be around every so often. And these guys, they were really into sports. I mean, this was a bunch of guys who came in and they did their weekend sports show, and they were really guys doing a sports show, right? And they just couldn't believe that I had absolutely zero interest in watching any sport whatsoever. I just don't care. It bores me. And I said to them, you know, all the predictions that you make, we ought to sit down and do some kind of a test to see if the predictions that you make on sporting events are actually anywhere near close. And they decided to accept the challenge. So what they did was they sent me up. So once a week on their weekend show, I would walk in and reach literally into a hat and pull out. They would put in, these teams are playing. And I would pull out just at random different pieces of paper. So this is completely random. Two teams are playing, put their names in a hat. I reach in, I pull out one of the pieces of paper. This is who's going to win. And these guys would sit around and make their expert predictions on what was going to happen based on why and how they had theorized it and so on. And the answer was, while they were usually better than me at predicting the outcome of all of the games, football, basketball, whatever was being played that weekend. There's always a lot going on every single weekend. They usually were better at predicting than me, but not by much. I was so close statistically, you might as well just come out and say, oh, I was every bit as good as they were. It was just that close. In fact, every so often on an occasional weekend, my predictions were better than theirs. And I was just picking the stuff at random. So for those of you who like to get into politics and take a look at, well, the poll numbers show whoever your favorite candidate is, whether he's ahead or behind in the Republican race right now or the Democrat side, whatever the case is, doesn't mean a thing. Doesn't mean squat. Part of the reason also for that is, do you know how they do, for those who don't know, I'm going to run through this real quick. Do you know how they do a caucus? In my state, we vote in a primary, which is just like an election. The Republicans and Democrats will go ahead and put their candidates up on a ballot, and we'll go to the polls. And just like we're voting, we'll mark in who we want as the candidate for that particular party. That's it. That's how it's done. But a caucus, now, and even then, the polls are wrong on primaries. So often wrong. It doesn't account for a lot of things, like even people who walk in at the last minute and look at the card and go, you know, I just don't think I can vote for that guy. But you know how a caucus is done? A caucus is, there's a room full of people and they split up into their groups for each candidate. And then they go from group to group trying to convince other people, join our group. If a group falls behind a certain number of people, they're out. Okay, so if your favorite candidate can't get enough people to gather around and talk about him, then they're disqualified. So those people have to go join other groups. And they just keep going around like that, talking to each other and trying to convince each other, hey, join my group. Until eventually there's only one group left. And that's how a caucus works. So can you understand how all of the polling and all of the expert all of them, are never going to figure out how a caucus is going to turn out once you realize how a caucus works.
Hey, honey, are you mad at me?
No, what makes you think that?
I mean, you kind of got steam coming out of your ears.
It's not coming out of my ears. I'm vaping, like smoking without the smoke. And Hothead Vapor in Gillette has more flavors than you can shake a stick at.
Hothead Vapors in Gillette, Wyoming. Electronic cigarettes, liquids, and accessories with a large selection of personal vaporizers, kits, mods, tanks, accessories, and over 260 flavors of e-liquids. 404 South Douglas Highway, Gillette, Wyoming. Open Monday through Friday, 10 till 8 p.m. Weekdays, 12 to 8. And no matter where you are, you can find great deals online at hotheadvapors.com.
So, you like vaping over smoking?
Oh, heck yeah. And no stinky mess. So many flavors, and it helps me relax.
Are you relaxed now?
Sure.
Good, because, well, I accidentally dropped the cigarette ash on your new shirt. Kind of burned a hole through it. All right, now there's steam coming out of your ears.
Hothead Vapors in Gillette, Wyoming.
Hey, Frank, you're actually gonna fall for that hook, are you? I'm just so hungry, and the lure looks so good. Yeah, well, just look up through the ice hole at that guy. Hey, he's got all the latest gear, doesn't he? He's so warm and comfortable, and the top window sportsman clothing, and fishing pole, and the best lures, nice comfortable chairs, coolers, warmers. He's got it all. I can't stand it. I'm gonna bite the hook. Are you seriously gonna fall for that? No, it's just that it has to be warmer up there above the ice than down here in the water. Yeah, and that frying pan he's got on the fire's a lot warmer.
Rocky Mountain Discount Sports has everything that the ice fisherman needs for the winter. Lines and lures, rods and reels. Special outfits to keep you warm, tents to keep the wind away, and the right kind of lures for winter fishing. Rocky Mountain Discount Sports, 4706 South Douglas Highway in Gillette, Wyoming. Open Monday through Saturday, 8 till 9, Sunday 9 to 6.
Daydreaming, son. It's time to get prepared. Time to get off your sofa and run yourself down to Surplus Unlimited in the Gun Traders building. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Civilian soldier, they got everything you could need. That's right, the surplus is unlimited. Surplus Unlimited ammo for babies and adults.
That's right, babies need camos too.
10 different styles of camo.
Oh, don't you look pretty.
550 cord, numerous colors, wool blankets, boots, hats, gloves, coats, shirts, tactical vests and belts, camping supplies, high quality army cots, and that hard to find P38 can opener. Save time, save money. Surplus Unlimited in the Gun Traders building. 801 Carlisle on the Douglas Highway across from the fishing lake. Gillette, Wyoming.
We have some unusual technology. Unlike anything else in the world, it doesn't wear out or become outdated in a few months or even a few years. Learning curve on how to use it and fully enjoy it? None. Rather than become outdated, it's timeless. Rather than become obsolete as the years go by, it becomes one of life's most treasured possessions. What is this unusual technology? It's a diamond. I'm Bruce Marshall. Come see what our rock scientists have for you and the ones you love. Marshall Jewelry, where she'll love it, guaranteed.
Come on, don't act like you don't know how this works. Glenn sits in a padded room, talks to himself, and guess what? You are the voices in his head. It's really creepy, but it works. Let's get back in there. Glenn Woods is back on the air.
So, okay, one more thing about the global warming. I should have brought this up in the last segment that I did about it, where a bunch of scientists are saying the satellite data. Well, satellites, unfortunately, are lying to us. Even though NASA says that the satellite data is the best they have, but okay. The next story here, thank God for global warming. For all of those out there who hate the idea of global warming, and you think man is causing it, you should be thanking man for creating it. Well, apparently man-made global warming is our friend, according to a study in Nature magazine. Extra CO2 generated by our burning of what they're calling incorrectly fossil fuels has postponed the next ice age for about 100,000 years. Oh, good. Look, ice ages are destructive. It's not warming that you have to worry about. It's cooling. Ice, this is one thing I could never understand about the global warming crowd. When Earth gets into an ice age, the planet is frozen over, hence ice age, and nothing can grow. life comes to a standstill. There's very little of it. Ice ages are destructive. If you want a current example of it, those of you who don't live in climates that get cold enough to produce snow and ice, why don't you drive up into one of those climates and take a look? I can tell you, because I'm living in Wyoming right now. Let me tell you what happens when wintertime comes around. All of the plants shrivel up. All of the trees lose their foliage. Okay? Everything pretty much dies until springtime, where things come back. The animals have to migrate down into warmer weather. They can't live in it. Some animals can live in it. Many can't, and they have to migrate south. Ice ages are bad, difficult. A warm planet, however, well, if the planet warmed up, we would be able to plant crops all the way up through Canada to the North Pole. Yeah, sea levels would rise and a lot of coastal cities would wind up underwater. That would be absolutely true, but it would open up a lot of mid-range landmass that is currently frozen tundra, which would actually be good. According to trends, because I know this is going to blow you guys away, the planet goes through warm periods and cold periods and warm periods and cold periods. It's been doing so for 4.5 billion years. Okay? The next trend, if you follow the way the trends work, the long-term trends, we were supposed to be diving into another ice age. Well, according to these scientists, thank God for man-made global warming, or we would be in an ice age right now. Better that you lived through a warm period when this planet doesn't have any polar ice caps, which will happen again at some point, whether we are here or not. Then you go through another ice age where we can't grow anything. Very difficult to live in snow and ice. I'm living in it right now, I can tell you. Here's a story. New research published by the journal Nature exclaimed that 8 global ice ages over the past 800,000 years and used complex climate models. Oh, here we go again with the models that are never true, to determine the critical factors that kick-started the big freezes. The result was surprisingly simple. A particular combination of lower sunlight at a certain latitude, where snow surviving through the summer leads to ice sheets, and low CO2 in the atmosphere was the signal for a new ice age dawn. The level of sunlight is very predictable as it varies in the changes and so on. But high levels of CO2 have been drastically altering, they said, because of human activity, keeping the planet warmer, keeping us away from another devastating ice age. Ice ages kill life on Earth. Warming periods promote life on Earth. Not me talking, these scientists who put this together. So for those of you out there who are saying, well, because human beings are causing a global warming. Okay, fine. You want to believe human beings are causing global warming? Fine. For sake of argument, I'm just going to go ahead and say, fine, we are. We're causing global warming. Thank God we're causing global warming. If we weren't, we would go into a devastating ice age where everything dies. There is more life on the planet when there is more CO2 and when the planet is warmer. A greenhouse has life in it. The snow and ice outside the greenhouse means everything outside is dead.
Hello and welcome to the Mental Health Hotline. If you you are obsessive compulsive, press 1 repeatedly. If you are codependent, ask someone to press 2 for you. If you have multiple personalities, press 3, 4, 5, and 6. If you are paranoid, we know what you are and what you want. Stay on the line and we'll trace your call. If you're delusional, press 7 and your call will be transferred to the mothership. If you are schizophrenic, listen carefully and a small voice will tell you which number to press. If you are depressive, it doesn't matter which number you press, no one will answer you. If you are dyslexic, press 69696969. If you have a nervous disorder, please fidget with the hash key until the beep. After the beep, please wait for the beep. If you have a short-term memory loss, please try your call again later. And if you have low self-esteem, hang up. All our operators are too busy to talk to you.
Sir, would you please step forward and stand on the line?
Have I done something wrong?
Standard TSA airport screening, sir. I need to pat you down.
Oh, really?
Yes, if you'll just hold still.
Sorry, I'm just so excited. Do you do this often?
Yes, sir. Hundreds of times a day.
Do you? Sounds exciting.
Sir, please stand still and stop touching yourself like that. People are looking.
Oh, I'm sure they are.
Sir, we just need to get this over with.
Why the rush? Go
Sir.
on, pat me, pat me.
Stop breathing so hard.
Whoa!
Sir, would you put your shirt back on?
Whoa!
Okay, look, just yeah, move along. Just move along, okay? All right.
Are we done?
Yeah, we're done.
Call me.
You ready for the next one, Frank?
I'm not sure.
Ooh, I'm next. Pat me down now, you big sexy beast.
Oh, God.
Has this ever happened to you? You vote for a charismatic young politician only to be disappointed by his undelivered promises of hope and change. If you're like much of the American voting public, you surely have. Has your car been marred by an unsightly blemish? Has your property value decreased due to the regretful political statements on your neighbor's car? Are you tired of being embarrassed to drive through your own neighborhood? Hi, I'm Brad Stein, and I'd like to introduce you to a brand new product that can help you cleanse your car and your life from any regretful election day decision. Introducing the Obama Bumper Sticker Removal Kit. How does it work? Let me show you. Simply pull your car into a garage, empty warehouse, or otherwise inconspicuous area. Use the official BS scraper to remove the old BS from your car and replace it with a brand new bumper sticker. It's just that easy. Even works on a Prius. What about your friend, neighbor, or that hippie stepbrother who bought into that Obama BS? Don't make him live in shame. Anonymously send him a BS removal kit of his very own. The BS removal kit works on BS of all kinds. Hope and change. Change you can believe in. And that oh so hard to get rid of Obama Biden BS. So rid your car and your life of Obama BS today. Only at bsremoval.com. The Obama Bumper Sticker Removal Kit does not get rid of higher taxes, mandatory health insurance, or high unemployment. Satisfaction is not guaranteed because, well, you've already proven that you don't make very good decisions.
Ma'am, I pulled you over because you failed to signal on that last turn.
I used my turn signal, I swear.
Has this ever happened to you? Have you been ticketed for not using your turn signal, even though you have? Have you checked your blinker fluid lately? Well, how about you check your local auto parts dealer for OK Blinker Fluid, an indicator lamp lubricant. With OK Blinker Fluid, your turn signals will work bright and smooth. And while you're there, ask for other OK engine products. OK engine rotator splints, OK muffler bearings, OK piston turn springs to make sure your pistons turn smoothly, and OK hypertension headlight valves. OK products. For the person who knows nothing about their car, we have everything. OK Auto Products by Snake Oil.
Need to let off a little steam? Yep, that's why we installed phone lines into the studio. Call Glenn now. Old Republic is on the air. Here's Glenn Woods.
it's the Bold Republic Radio Show. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. So, okay, we're going to do one more climate change thing. Then we have a lot of other news to get to. If you want to change the subject, interrupt me, whatever the case, 307-363-4093 is the number. That's 307-363-4093. Oh, by the way, during the weekend, a lot of stuff gets posted on the website at boldrepublic.com. And there's even special YouTube features and things like that that get thrown up there. So just keep checking out the website during the weekend, because just because I'm not on the air doesn't mean I'm not busy and doing all sorts of stuff. And I'm trying to keep you guys informed and share interesting stuff and weird stuff too, because you can't be serious all the time. I told you about this story some time ago. Here's an update on it. More CO2 in the air has been greening the desert. Now, you know immediately that you are dealing with someone who doesn't know anything about science if they say carbon pollution. That's wrong on many different levels. Well, let me run through it real quick so you can repeat this if you ever have somebody say that to you. One, say to them, don't you mean CO2? CO2 contains a carbon molecule, a carbon atom in there. So you can say CO2 pollution, but are you saying that carbon itself is a pollution? Don't you mean the CO2 in the atmosphere? The very CO2 that plants inhale, then remove the carbon from it in order to continue growing the plant or make new seeds? And then they release oxygen that we breathe. That's pollution? Is that what you're telling me is pollution? What about just carbon by itself? Carbon, which would be the building block, like the Lego block for all life on this planet. It really is like a Lego block. You can build anything out of it. And it's the basis of all life on this planet. Are you saying that that's pollution? Anyone who says carbon pollution doesn't know anything about science. Now, also, it's a minor greenhouse gas, and it's already been shown it doesn't trap nearly as much heat as they originally said it would. That's one of the reasons their climate models are failing like crazy. A few months ago, I told you about some of the deserts in Africa are suddenly starting to see rain, cooler temperatures, and plant life is growing back. Stuff that has been dead desert for centuries is starting to get grass and bushes and trees. Here's the latest. Satellite data shows the percent amount of foliage cover that has changed around the world from 1982 to 2010, an increased level of CO2 that has been helping to boost foliage across the world in arid regions over the past 30 years. More CO2 is more plant life. In findings based on satellite observations, in collaboration with the Australian National University, they found that this CO2 fertilization, that's basically what it is. I remember hearing a congressman say one time to the head of the EPA that CO2 is fertilizer. It's like airborne fertilizer. And essentially, he's right. Quote, in Australia, our native vegetation is adapting to survive in arid environments over time. Uses very little water and so on. Australian vegetation seems quite sensitive when there's extra CO2 around. It's good for them. This, along with vast extents of arid landscape, means Australia's featured prominently in the results of the study. While a CO2-affected area has been showing, well, in Australia and again in North Africa, it's showing that areas that they haven't seen grass and bushes and trees in decades suddenly has it. Quote, our work, we were able to tease out CO2 fertilization effects by getting together satellite data and so on. The fertilization effects occurs over elevated CO2 areas. Well, let me jump to the phone real quick. This is Glenn who's on the phone.
Hey, Glenn Fleewan.
Yes, sir.
Hey, so what you're saying is a fertile crescent is becoming the fertile crescent again.
Yes.
That's
now,
crazy.
Here, let's educate people because what you just said there is really important. Why did you call it the Fertile Crescent?
because that's where it all started.
Yeah.
That's where we started.
Yeah. See, it was, let's take a look at, for example, you and I know this. We're educating everybody else. The area around Baghdad, as near as we can tell, may have been where the first cities and towns were ever built. Not villages, but I mean actual cities around that area. And then, of course, there's Egypt and North Africa. Well, those first cities, those first countries, they weren't built in deserts. Those people didn't move off to sand dunes and say, wow, this is great. Let's move into a bunch of sand dunes. It was the most fertile area on the planet at the time, wasn't it?
That's what they're saying, and that's why they say we thrived, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's becoming the Fertile Crescent again.
Right.
Okay.
Well, and as more CO2 comes back and the planet actually gets moister and cooler, we're finding that those areas could possibly become fertile again because we're seeing the plant life come back.
That's crazy talk.
No, you're right. I'm just a nut. Well, thanks for calling.
ColdRepublic.com. I'm Professor Burke from Farmers Insurance, and this is 30 Seconds of Smart. So you want discounts on your home insurance? Upgrade your roof. Upgrade your plumbing. Get a burglar alarm. Get a fire alarm. Combine policies with your spouse. Bundle your coverage. Quit smoking. And, of course, talk to farmers, because the more you know about home insurance, the more you can save.
We are farmers.
Get smarter about your insurance at farmers.com.
Stop by and see Lyle Austin, 201 West Lakeway Road in the Lakeway Professional Center, 686-5002. That's 686-5002. So over in that corner, we have three guys talking about Bigfoot. Over there, they're talking about the game that's on the TV above their heads. That table, I've lost track of what they were talking about a long time ago, but the conversation keeps getting louder. Then someone puts their favorite song in the jukebox, and here comes that guy who thinks he can dance, but he can't dance, but he thinks he can. Nobody really cares that he can. In a moment, I'm going to walk over to their giant humidor and pick out a nice stogie. They have great cigars in a huge humidor, Pat's Liquor, where if you haven't made friends, then you haven't been there more than 2 minutes. Give it another minute and make some friends at Pat's Liquor, 600 South Douglas Highway, Gillette, Wyoming, right next to Wells Fargo Bank. Happy hour, 4:30 till 7.
What's the meaning of life? I don't know either, but if you're a married man, here's a question you can answer. What's the meaning of wife? She answered that question for you. The meaning of wife is her. From the moment you first saw her, right up until this moment, and you're hearing these words, she answers that question. This anniversary, love her with a diamond from Marshall Jewelry. Because of her, you know the meaning of wife. And because of her love, you also know the real meaning of life. Marshall Jewelry, where she'll love it, guaranteed.
The way you lie.
Time once again for your bold lie of the week. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, the President of the United States and the entire State of the Union address.
My fellow Americans. God bless the United States of America.
Oh, I'm glad we got all that in. This has been your bold lie of the week.
This is a generic liner. Kind of boring, isn't it? Now back to Glenn Woods.
I'm going to take just a moment here to gripe about something that personally bothers me. Now, understand if you're to hang out with me in person, yes, I talk about stuff like this, but it bothers me, and I wish people would correct what I'm about to tell you about. But I don't get obsessive with it, because nobody would hang out with me if I was completely obsessed by it. Yes, there are certain words out there that bother me, and phrases. Like, I get really bothered when people say moving forward. Moving forward doesn't mean anything, especially when someone's running for office. The president will say, we're moving forward. Oh, that's naturally a good thing? Okay, fine. Hitler moved forward with his plans to exterminate the Jews. Oh, gee, so I guess moving forward is not always a good thing, huh? Sometimes it can be a bad thing. Okay, so moving forward doesn't always mean something good. You don't just throw it into a sentence. Senator, how do you plan to get that legislation out of committee moving forward? Why not just say, Senator, how do you plan to get that legislation out of committee? It's like saying, People are throwing it in all over the place. It doesn't mean anything. It's a phrase that means everything, therefore it means nothing. Okay, that kind of stuff drives me crazy. I get a little bothered when people use old language, and this what I'm about to tell you about kind of just drives me crazy. See, I tell you why. Let me tell you why before I read the next thing. The reason why it drives me crazy is because I like to pay attention to what we are actually saying. Do you ever stop and really consider the words that you're using and what they actually mean if you were to take them more literally? Now, as human beings, we have the ability to sift through what somebody said and, I know what he meant by that. He just didn't choose his words wisely, but I get where he's going with this. Okay. It can be really difficult for politicians running for office because everything that they say is scrutinized. So they're going to find, if somebody misuses one word, it makes headlines for 2 weeks so they can politically destroy the guy. All right. Now I'm going to pick on somebody in the press for a bit. So I'm looking at a website. When I go through a commercial break that you guys just listened to with our fine commercial sponsors, I will take a moment to see if any news headline is popping out there, just so I can keep on top of it and give you the latest breaking, right? So I go to this website, and the first thing I see is a story where you should see the film on this one, says the headline. No, there isn't any film. There isn't any film. All right, here's the headline. Here's what we know about the Navy commander filmed apologizing to Iran. Okay, let me ask you something here. Were the Iranians using film? I know the Iranians are not as technically advanced as we are in a lot of things. We have some pretty cool technology in our country, and the Iranians are a little bit behind us. I don't think the Iranians are using film. People pick up their cell phone and say, yeah, I'm going to film this. I got some great footage. Footage refers to film. Okay. The next thing that drives me crazy is the headline that's supposed to be a hook headline. And it's one story after the next. In one photo, actor Chris Pratt defies pretty much everything liberal Hollywood, every liberal Hollywood stereotype, but they don't tell you what that is. Special Forces soldier turned UFC fighter gets credible threats from Islamic State. You won't believe what they are. And then they don't say anything more than that. They just toss that out there. You will not believe what so-and-so said. A woman was caught doing something horrible to her dog. You won't believe what it was. And you got to click on it to see what it was. Now, if that hooks you in, that's your mistake. That doesn't hook me in. That makes me do what I'm doing right now. I'm going up to the little X, and I just clicked off that website, and I don't want to go there anymore because their website is filled with stories like that are supposed to be hooks to pull you in. Well, look, I know your game here, and I don't have time for this. I'm a busy guy. I got a lot going on in my day. I hate it when I click on a story like, oh, God, what happened? What did the lady do to her dog? I click on the story. Nothing. It wasn't worth it. Oh, but they got me to click, didn't they? Yeah, I think I fell for that maybe twice in my life, and then I never went back to it ever again. Interesting how people use language.
Hello, I'm radio talk show host Glenn Woods. Every year across America, kids arrive at school with dangerous, imaginary weapons. Thankfully, because of the vigilance of our staff, of teachers, principals, and other administrators, these kids are quickly removed from school and the danger taken away. Imaginary weapons have become increasingly hazardous as children continue to escalate the war, not just pointing the single finger with the thumb raised in the air, but two fingers for the double-barreled approach. Children in classrooms, lunchrooms, and playgrounds at schools across America have been caught shooting rubber bands at each other, pointing pencils at each other. Then there's the shockingly dangerous loaded Pop-Tart. That's why we at the Bold Republic Radio Show are asking you to join our campaign to ban imaginary weapons from our schools. Imagine the hazards as kids show up with ever increasingly dangerous weapons, like sticks that they could use as a pretend machine gun. Then there are all those kids who find themselves plain dead. So how can you help to ban imaginary weapons from your school? Well, first would be to put signs on schools across America, making them imaginary weapons-free zones. I mean, it works so well for the gun-free zones. It should work here. Implementing new rules to make it socially unacceptable to point, and most important of all, banning the use of the imagination. Yes, allowing kids to think and imagine for themselves has proven to be a dangerous thing. And so we intend to wipe this out at every school district across America. I'm Glenn Woods, asking, won't you join us? Help us to ban imaginary weapons at schools across America.
Do yourself a favor. Don't just listen to the show. See what Glenn's talking about at boldrepublic.com. There you can watch the show live on YouTube or download the show and listen to it later. Now let's get back in there. Here's Glenn Woods.
It's a Bold Republic Radio Show. My name's Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. So, little Benghazi news just popped up while you guys were listening to those fine commercial sponsors. I got to be careful because there's some people out there. I mentioned Benghazi, and you can hear heads exploding out there. Well, Trey Gowdy, who's been pushing on this, God bless him for that from the beginning. And by the way, this is supposed to be another one of these fake scandals. It's a fake scandal. So if you're paying attention to this, if you're worried about this, well, you're just an idiot because it's a fake scandal. Now, who said it was a fake scandal? Well, the people we're investigating. So what you're supposed to do is just put it down and walk away because you were told it was fake. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go rob a bank. And when the police show up to arrest me, I'm just going to turn to them and say, well, this is a fake scandal. And the police will just go, oh, it is? Oh, it is. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Apologize for wasting your time. And they'll just turn and walk away because they said it was fake. Witnesses are telling us that Trey Gowdy of a stand-down order on the Benghazi attack. Representative Trey Gowdy, chairman of the House Select Committee on Benghazi, said Wednesday that a number of witnesses had confirmed a stand-down order was given to military assets in proximity to Benghazi the night of the terror attack, while others said no one had issued any such order. But some said, yes, they did. So I guess it depends on who you're talking to. Quote, the best I can do is tell you what the witnesses say, and then you can decide who you think is more credible, said Gowdy. Now, before I read the rest of it, I just kind of wonder about something here. Is it necessarily a credible thing? Well, what if some people received the order and some people didn't? because they were just overlooked. I never got a stand-down order. Other people did get a stand-down order. That's possible, too. But let's get into more of what Gowdy's talking about. He says, I don't know why the mainstream media, correction, Mr. Gowdy, irrelevant press, doesn't understand why you have to talk to everyone before you draw a conclusion, Gowdy said. Nothing the committee has, they have roughly 12 witnesses left to interview before winding down the investigation. Now, Michael Bay's movie, 13 Hours, I don't know about you guys. I'm glad he made the movie. I haven't seen it. It just from what I've seen of it, looks like he might have been on the right track. I don't know. I haven't seen the thing. And on the one hand, I would love to go see it. But on the other hand, since we lost some really good people, it would just break my heart to watch the thing. I just don't know if I'm ready yet to sit and watch what these guys went through. I mean, to actually see it portrayed, right? It'd be tough. I might have to wait a while. I'm not over this yet. I'm still angered by this. So Michael Bay's 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi, set to premiere. Well, it already is. It's in theaters now. The 5 surviving members of the 6-man Benghazi security team have blitzed the airwaves to promote the film and renew their assertion that top CIA officers delayed them from immediately answering the State Department's distress calls. 3 even testified to the same before the House Select Committee on Benghazi last spring. Several sources confirmed that with Politico. So, this is a quote here. There is no sensationalism. We were told to stand down, said one former special officer, Chris Paronto. Paronto? P-A-R-O-N-T-O. You figured it out. One of the CIA's characters who fought that night in an interview with Politico. He said those words were used verbatim 100%. If the truth of it affects someone's political career, well, I'm sorry, he said, but it happened. Lawmakers have grappled with the question of the stand-down order before several bipartisan reports on the attack, and didn't find any evidence of any such command being passed down the chain. But moreover, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, the CIA, and the Defense Department have long dismissed the idea that anybody held them back. But the renewed allegations, says the story, have forced lawmakers to wrestle with the issue again and again. If the GOP members of the Benghazi panel dispute his assertion, this gentleman's assertion, they could look like they're disparaging Americans who fought and died for service in the country. But if they side with him, investigators would directly contradict some of the big-name intelligence officials, such as David Petraeus, Secretary of State Leon Panetta, Director of National Intelligence James Clapper. Now, for me, I don't see why at all this gentleman who was there fighting that day would have any reason at all to lie about this. I can see all of the names of the politically connected people that I just named to you. I can see why they would lie about it. They're in Washington, D.C. They have been for decades. They have political careers to worry about. I can absolutely see why they would lie about something like this. And, of course, the good old boy network often circles the wagon, so you know how this plays out. It's a matter of who you think is credible.
I think most consumers have no idea that you can't sell what you bake in your home kitchen.
It's really disappointing to realize that you can't sell something that you know your customers want.
To sell something that I made in my home kitchen to my local community is the most rewarding recipe possible.
Just growing food is a creative act, and I love making and cooking and baking.
I think it's a wonderful tribute to a farm and to this land to be able to grow stuff and turn it into something to eat. People really want to buy from their neighbors, from people in their tiny towns, from people in their neighborhoods.
As a bed and breakfast owner and a farmer, I can raise the food, I can serve it to my bed and breakfast guests, but I can't send them home with any.
I was really disappointed when I found out that we couldn't sell baked goods at the market. It didn't really seem like we were doing anything unreasonable.
If I wanted to legally sell my muffins in Wisconsin, the first thing I would have to do is whip out my checkbook and start writing checks for all sorts of fees involving anything from renting a commercial kitchen to building one, and I'd be draining my bank account before I started baking any muffins.
To build my own commercial kitchen would easily cost $50,000 or more.
The safest place to make food is in our home kitchens. It's the place we feed our family, our friends, our community, and we need to connect that more with our local economies.
Our customers would be happy to buy baked goods from us if they could. They would know that grains came from our farm. They would know who was handling it and that we really care about quality ingredients.
What seems crazy to me is you can sell canned goods from your home kitchen. You can sell raw apple cider from your house, but you can't make muffins or cookies or cakes and sell those. It can't be a safety issue. It's got to be political.
We're partnering with the Institute for Justice on this lawsuit because it's unfair and unconstitutional that some items made in a home kitchen can be sold to the public while the safest one around, a cookie and baked goods, can't.
If I could legally sell home baked goods, it would add an additional income stream to our family. In the rural community, people work really hard and they don't make a lot of money. And it's been harder and harder as the economy has gotten harder.
I think that is what people in Wisconsin and throughout America want. To be able to go to their neighbors, to leave the cities and drive out into the countryside and buy muffins from cute farms and from beautiful places.
Today, the Supreme Court heard oral arguments in Friedrichs v. California Teachers Association. Public school teacher Rebecca Friedrichs contends that mandatory union fees violate her First Amendment right of free speech and association. Outside the court, a rally and counter-rally revealed a polarized public opinion of the case.
Realize that oral arguments are going to begin in just a few minutes. So this is so exciting.
My husband's a state representative, and in his first race for state rep, he had a huge campaign against him, turned out to be funded by the OEA. And I realized that my forced dues were going to fund the campaign against my husband.
If you're in a work site and you're covered by a contract, the union contract, you get the benefit of that contract. You get the raises, you get the health insurance, you get the dental and vision and all the other benefits. And those things, take energy and time and cost money to be able to get. And if we have less people contributing to that, everyone loses, because eventually we start to see those benefits erode. And this should not be a race to the bottom.
They say you have to do this. We've got a great idea, it's going to be compulsory. Anybody who tells you they've got a great idea and first thing is they make everybody ... If it was such a good idea, you wouldn't have to make anybody, never mind everyone, do anything.
If the unions go out and fight for bargaining rights, for retirement, for pay, for hours, everybody should share the cost of that. And if they don't, then they're freeloading.
So to hear them use like a sense of fear-mongering, like if we don't take agency fees, everything is going to crumble and burn. And the justices pushed back on that. Are you telling me that even though we have clear evidence that of other states that don't take agency fees and they're thriving, they're surviving and thriving, are you here telling us that the unions will collapse without agency fees? And they couldn't answer that question truthfully.
Basically, I'm here today with
my fellow plaintiffs because our voices have been silenced by forced unionism for decades. The unions force me to fund collective bargaining efforts that are harmful to my students, and that's offensive to me. Our voices were heard today, so thank you.
I'm American. That's right. I'm American. Got a picture of Reagan above my fire. Next to the deer, I shot with my rifle. NRA, hell yeah, I support him. I hate my job and I hate my boss, but I love my country and I pray to God that the Cowboys win. Just cut your hands if you love our country, if you love our land. That's right. And if you're not clapping your hands, you're a terrorist and you eat sand.
Irreverent, but honest and tastefully tacky somehow. Here comes another hour of insensitivity training with Glenn Woods.
And I live in America. Come on. And I live in America. I'm American.
Final hour of the program, Friday edition, Bold Republic Radio Show, and phones open, so if I'm talking about something that interests you, jump in. If I'm not, change the subject. That's fine. 307-363-4093 is the number. That's 307-363-4093. So I'm going to tell you a story real quick about, before I get to what this story is, about something that I used to love to do until local government came along and said, you can't do that anymore. And I think it might have had something to do with state government as well. But hey, basically, here's the story. So I'm in North Carolina, small town of Boone, North Carolina, literally settled by Daniel Boone. He lived there for a while. Then he moved on to Kentucky. And when I would go to work every day, I would stop by this little convenience store because, well, instead of making lunch for myself, and I know this was a little bit more expensive, but I was willing to pay it. Just about 3 houses up the road from this convenience store was this cute little cottage, and this dear, sweet little old widow lady lived in the cottage, and she was only living off of Social Security. That's all she had. So, to supplement her income, she would make bag lunches. I still see this happening at convenience stores, even here in Wyoming. You can basically just walk up and grab a brown bag. It's like mom sending you off to school. Put your coat on. Here's your lunch, and she hands you a brown bag. And in the bag would be a really nice sandwich. I mean, when this woman made something like tuna fish or egg salad, man, was it good. And then the bread was homemade bread. And then there would be some kind of dessert in there, like a cookie or something like a brownie, homemade. And she always included a piece of fruit in there. There was a banana or an apple or something like that. This was great stuff. Even my own mom didn't do that good for me. I mean, God bless my mom, love her to death, but this was good stuff. So I paid, instead of just making my own lunch, I would pay for that every day. Then on the way home after work, I would stop by the same convenience store, and that was round 2. Because she was still cooking during the day, and other stuff had been put out. Might be a piece of banana bread or something like that. Just really good stuff. One day, I showed up to pick up my little brown bag of lunch, and they weren't there anymore. Well, my first thought was, well, I hope she's okay. And I asked the convenience store manager, where's my lunch? Is she okay? She didn't get to the hospital. Little old lady, I figured she had a heart attack or something. No, the state of North Carolina, and I don't know if it was the county or city, whatever, took a look at this and said, no, you see, you don't have a convection oven at home. And you're lacking the following equipment at home to properly make this stuff. So, Grandma, if you want to make these sandwiches and sell them at the convenience store two houses down to supplement your income, you're going to have to make a full kitchen. And how much is this full kitchen going to cost, Grandma? About $50,000, which she does not have. And it wouldn't make sense for the investment. She's not going to make that much off of these sandwiches and stuff to pay for all of that. Not anytime soon, anyway. Great way to put Grandma out of business. And all she was trying to do was supplement her one piece of income, Social Security. And I started worrying, geez, I hope she doesn't lose the house. I was happy with her as a customer. She sold out every single day. I was happy with her. So was all of her other customers. And one day she had even raised her prices because things were, just selling out every single day. I paid the extra. So did everybody else. It was just that good. Her food was that good. And all I had to do was pick up a brown bag and go to work. Well, thanks for putting Grandma out of business when all she was trying to do was find a clever way to supplement her income. Oh, but you have to have a convection oven and yada, yada. Well, to the people in the state of North Carolina that work for the state, I did not ask for your protection. I don't want it. See, this is the reason that they would give people, well, you have to have all of this equipment because what if you were eating something that she made in her regular oven and it made you sick? I didn't ask for you to get involved. You people in government, I did not ask you to get involved, nor did Grandma. This is what I mean by free people living in a free country. Grandma in that little house, she's somebody's grandma anyway. This grandma decided to make these little brown bag lunches. And those of us who were buying from her decided we wanted to buy from her. And we didn't care if she had restaurant quality equipment or not. If she was making the food out of some ratty old stove and oven, that was okay by us. We'll take the risk. Don't want the government to get involved in this. But no, the government said, we can't take the risk because somebody might get hurt. Stay out of it. Don't you just hate it when people stick their nose in when they have no business being involved in it whatsoever? All right, so for those who listen on the video audio streams, you get to hear things that the people who listen on the regular radio stations don't get to hear during the commercial and news break. You just heard something from the Reason Foundation. They did the story about there's this inn in Wisconsin. It's out in the country in Wisconsin, and it's just a little inn, and it's run by like 3 or 4 little old ladies or something like that. Well, I wouldn't even say old ladies, but older ladies. And they're just the sweetest looking ladies that you would ever want to see in your entire life. They decided to open an inn together. Now, in this inn, they make enough money. If you want to stay there as bed and breakfast inn, they make enough money. Yeah, they're doing okay. But they needed a little bit more. Well, they're so good at baking. Muffins, bread, cookies, things like this. They're so good at baking this stuff that they decided just to make a little bit of money on the side. And so they were, just like the grandma story I just told you, they were baking all of these baked goods and selling them to local markets. And this helped supplement their income. They weren't getting rich off of it, but they were doing just fine. They were okay. They were also doing something that they loved. And their customers loved their cooking. And so there were no complaints from anybody. Then one day, the government shows up. Well, you ladies have to have this kind of a convection oven in order to, and you have to have this kind of an exhaust fan, and these kind of electrical outlets running into, and your water has to be, and yada, 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 yada. And in order for them to remake, and this kitchen in this inn, is a real old style. It looks like 1950s, maybe early 60s kind of a kitchen. They would have to completely revamp the kitchen. That would put them out of business. And once again, what are these ladies trying to do? They're just trying to supplement their income a little bit. The customers are completely happy. The customers don't care that they're making all of these baked goods on, in and on older stoves and ovens. They don't care. The customers are perfectly happy with the way these ladies wrap the food up. Oh no, it has to be wrapped in this exact kind of plastic in this exact way, because the customers don't care. They have steady customers who are more than happy with what they bake. Everybody's happy. But your government has to come along and, oh, you can't do that because somebody could possibly didn't ask you to get involved. There's a lot of things that irritate me about people who get into government. One of them is nobody likes somebody who sticks their nose in where they have no business being. Stay out of it. Well, here's the good news. The Institute for Justice is helping them out. Now, the Institute for Justice looks for cases like this and jumps in and helps these people out. So the Institute for Justice, they're a bunch of lawyers, really. And there's no way these ladies could afford the legal fees to fight this. The Institute for Justice is jumping in to help these ladies out and settle this in a court case. From the story that's in front of me, the Institute for Justice, a nonprofit law firm, fights against unreasonable government restrictions on individuals. Economic liberty is what they focus on. The attorney representing the three Wisconsin farmers, ladies, Wednesday, filed a lawsuit against the Department of Agriculture Trade Commission Protection. The complaint seeks to strike down the home-baked goods ban and allow the home bakers to sell directly to their friends, neighbors, and customers. And again, everybody who was perfectly happy with them. The bipartisan bill languishing in the legislature would do just that. So they don't just go into the court. The Institute for Justice will help write legislation to overturn this. The legislation would allow up to $7,500 annual home baked goods sales. It was first introduced. Well, in other words, if you get any more over that, and I would actually fight the Institute for Justice on this. What they're trying to do is say, well, you're not considered a commercial kitchen until you sell over $7,500 a year. At that point, you need to get professional equipment. So that's what the Institute for Justice is basically saying with that. I look at that and think, well, okay, I see what you're doing there and okay. But I would take it further than that myself, because personally, as far as I'm concerned, these ladies should be allowed to get as big as they want until their customers complain. See, that's when I would have the government step in. If at some point something went wrong and customers stepped up and said, we got a problem here. Now, if you're asking me, well, Glenn, would you wait for people to die? No, I'm all in for health inspectors and stuff like that. But allow these businesses to grow, because you're still asking them to put up a $50,000 kitchen. I just can't stand it. It drives me nuts when people in general, but government is included in that, for some reason feel the need to step up and stick their nose into all sorts of things that we never asked them to stick their nose into. All right, I'll keep following this case if I get any more news on this. Right now, the Institute for Justice not only fighting it in court, but offering up the legislation, but making sure enough publicity gets out there about this story. I wonder if that grandma was ever able to, I always worried that she was going to lose her house to the tax man, the one in North Carolina, if she wasn't able to supplement her income.
Glenn Woods, OldRepublic.com.
Shave Secret is the best shave ever. Shave Secret is a blend of natural oils that replace shave creams, gels, and powders for men and women of all ethnic backgrounds. Shave Secret is a natural product, nothing artificial. Shave Secret helps prevent nicks, cuts, shave bumps, ingrown hairs, rashes, and more. Shave Secret is clear, non-foaming, so you can see clearly what you're shaving. Shave Secret is economical to use. Takes 3 to 5 drops for the average shave. Shave Secret cleans, conditions, moisturizes the skin all in one application. Shave Secret is compact and great for travel. Ladies, Shave Secret is wonderful for shaving your legs, underarms, and bikini lines. Guys, got a bald head? Shave it. Buy Shave Secret today at Walmart Supercenters and Amazon.com. Online at shavesecret.com. That's Walmart Supercenters, Amazon.com. Online at shavesecret.com. Great deals online at shavesecret.com. Shave Secret, the best shave ever.
Howdy, folks. This is Swede from Swede Specialties here in Gillette, and I'm here today with Mr. Wimpy. Mr. Wimpy, have you ever tried a home-brewed beer?
Oh, no, I only like Wimpy beer.
Would you like to try a home-brewed beer, Mr. Wimpy?
Well, okay, but just a sip. It looks kind of dark.
Just close your eyes and try it. Whoa. Well, Mr. Wimpy, what do you think of homebrew? Now that's real beer, Pilgrim. But give Swede a call, 307-686-0588, or go to SwedeSpecialties.com.
Hi, this is Nick. Hi, this is Wu. We're partners in crime. We have a steal of a deal at Carpet Express Direct. Purchase in-stock carpet before February, and Uncle Chris will upgrade you to the memory foam pad for free. Holy smokes! Come check out our new location next to the Liberty Tax. It's double the size of our last location.
Yep, sure is.
We have you covered.
Well, we're awesome.
Carpet Express Direct.
We're the closest thing to wholesale.
Stop by or call 257-4205.
Here's an idea. Let's raise your property taxes to the point that nobody can afford their home and everybody has to move out of town. Yeah, that'll grow the city. Brilliant. Let's get back to the show. Here is Glenn Woods.
307-363-4093 is the phone number. For those who don't know where the show emanates from, I'm in coal country. No, I mean really coal country. 40% of the nation's coal comes from right here, Gillette, Wyoming. And I got a kick out of some years ago, a bunch of coal protesters were going to show up in this community, and they never showed up. I was following them on their Facebook posts and so on. They were convinced that in this community here in Gillette, Wyoming, that, well, it was just horrible out here. The skies were, if not yellow, they were black, and the snow rained down as soot, gray soot, if not black soot. People had black lung. I mean, just horrible asthma, and all the kids. They were just convinced that the people here were being exploited by the coal mines, and they were going to show up and save us all. Much to their surprise, they found out that the sky is clear blue. It just snowed a little bit today. White. Water's pure. People are not dying of all sorts of diseases out here. And everybody around here just loves the coal mines to death. It's how people make their living. And it's surface mining. They open up a big pit, they go down, dig the coal out, fill it back up again, and you can't tell that they were ever there. They're just that good at land reclamation. You can't tell that they were ever there. Headline: Obama administration announces a halt on new coal leases. Okay. Just the latest in the war on coal from the Obama administration. Here's the story. Washington, the Obama administration announced Friday it will temporarily, temporarily, folks, that means permanent, unless we get somebody else in there. We have to have a House and Senate and a president who will just flat out roll this back immediately. They announced today will temporarily halt new coal leases on federal lands until it completes a comprehensive review to determine whether fees charged to mining companies provide a fair return to taxpayers. Oh, okay, so we have to get more of the money. And in order to do that, to make sure that we're getting all of the money out of this, We have to just make sure that nobody else can open it. We got to halt any new coal mines. Just put a stop to it. Those in the coal industry, how much in taxes did the federal government take out? And this comes back. Well, and look at the way they word this, by the way. Let me go back and read that again. They want a review to determine whether the fees, which are taxes, charged to mining companies provide a fair return to the taxpayers. Oh, I see. They're trying to get your money back, is what they're saying. A fair return to the taxpayers, meaning more money being sent to the government, not to you. What do you mean a fair return to the taxpayers? Okay, so if the federal government is going to raise the fees on coal companies, are they going to take that money and give it to you and me? Are you going to get a check in the mail? No. Then what do you mean by a fair return to taxpayers? No, the money goes into government where it disappears and gets blown on God knows what. So I'm not buying that you're doing this for the taxpayers. You're doing this for the cronies in government. The decision, the story says, immediately triggered accusations from business groups and Republican lawmakers for, well, here's that war on coal again. Interior Secretary Sally Jewell, on a conference call, stressed that the move is not a pause in coal production entirely, but will give the government time to study the benefits of coal as well as its impact on the environment. Now we get down to what it's really about. It'll give government time to study the benefits of coal as well as the impact, but we're not shutting anything down. So how long is this study supposed to take, by the way? Well, you don't need years to do a study. This is going to take years, and I wonder how much it's going to cost to do this study. And what's the real purpose of it? To make sure no new coal mines can open up. But it's going to take years to do this. I would like to know how many hundreds of millions of dollars at least for this useless study. Jewell told reporters she's confident the pause on new leases will not disrupt the country's abilities to meet production needs. Karen Harbor, president and CEO of U.S. Chamber of Commerce Institute for the 21st Century Energy, slammed the decision. Foolish crusade, she said. Another day, another front on the war on coal from this administration, she said. Roughly 40% of the coal produced in the United States comes from federal lands. The vast majority of the mining takes place here in Wyoming, where I am right now. Montana, which is the same vein of coal right up into Montana. Then there's Colorado, Utah, and New Mexico. Story says it's unclear whether the moratorium will have on many coal companies, given the declining domestic demand for coal. Then we stop right there. And why is there a declining domestic demand for coal? Not because of the free market. Well, I know that there are some people getting into natural gas and things like that. I mean, there are some market reasons. Don't misunderstand. There are some market reasons. But mostly not. The reason people are using less coal is because of the war on coal. We figured out, we're not China. We figured out a long time ago how to use coal in a clean way. I'm surrounded by open earth and mining going on right now, all around this town. I'm surrounded by power plants all around me right now. So you want to talk about environmental impact? Well, I mean, if I was in China, I could see your case because they don't use the technology that we're using. Latest salvo in the war on coal and stack of life.
When you don't plan ahead for next year's youth conference, you end up staying in a budget motel. When you stay in a budget motel, you get a foot fungus. When you get a foot fungus, you have to shop down the embarrassing aisle. When you shop down the embarrassing aisle, people make assumptions. When people make assumptions, rumors spread. When rumors spread, people don't like you. When people don't like you, you get cast as the back half of a horse in the school play. Don't get cast as the back half of a horse.
Viridian Dynamics, our team, over 100,000 strong. And we love all of them. Unless they cross us, then we'll hunt them down and hurt them. Because that's love too. Viridian Dynamics, don't cross us, ever. Seriously, just don't.
America is facing an ongoing energy crisis. As oil gets scarcer, gasoline gets more expensive, and the planet suffers. Electric cars? Most of their electricity comes from coal-fired plants or nuclear reactors. So what's the answer? How about a car that's good-looking, affordable, and runs on clean, environmentally responsible natural gas? Your natural gas. Introducing the Flatula Backfire. It runs like the wind because it's running on wind. Here's how it works. Using state-of-the-art sanitary technology, Flatula captures all your emissions and efficiently channels them directly to a powerful turbocharged engine. It's clean energy, green energy, and best of all, it's renewable. The Backfire's range is practically unlimited. But if you should happen to run low, don't worry. You're never too far from a Flatula authorized service center, where trained, qualified providers stand ready to fill your tank with the gas that's right for your driving needs. Flatula Backfire. It's not just a smart car, it's the fart car.
Birds, let's face it, they're annoying. They're everywhere, filling the skyways and dropping their little droppings on our automobiles, on our homes, and causing billions of dollars of damage every single year, eating gardens right down to the nub, including the seeds. And of course, we've all seen Alfred Hitchcock's movie, The Birds. Yes, birds cost the American economy billions of dollars every year in damage, and billions of dollars to our economy by slowing down traffic at airports, and even bringing down planes by dangerously flying into the engines. So how do we rid the skyways of these pesky creatures? We've found a way. Windmills are the answer. Yes, environmentally friendly because they don't use pesticides. Massive churning windmill blades bring down birds by the hundreds every single day. And thanks to Barack Obama's incentives and subsidies, windmill farms are now popping up around the country. Last year alone, we killed over 500,000 of these pesky creatures. Maybe right in your own backyard. Join us, won't you? Call your congressman. Ask for more windmills and more windmill subsidies so we can rid the skies of these pesky, costly nuisance creatures we call birds. Brought to you by the Coalition for Cleaner, Safer Skies.
Need to let off a little steam? Yep, that's why we installed phone lines into the studio. Call Glenn now. Bold Republic is on the air. Here's Glenn Woods.
It's the Bold Republic Radio Show, final half hour Friday edition. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to play something again. It just reminded me of something that I was watching. Was yesterday, something I was watching, some news story. And it wasn't really the news story, it was the commercial. I don't get into the weeds on this. For those people that listen on radio stations, when we go into certain commercial breaks or news, some of those are meant for the affiliate radio stations to play their commercials, okay? So what do I do in the meantime for those people who are listening online or watching online? Well, we have special fun features that we play, including the one that they just heard about windmills taking care of that pesky bird problem, the wind turbines out there. Now, this I wrote, I think it was like 3 years ago, wrote and produced, and it's been playing for, I think, about 3 years now. And I think it's one of the better bits. I wouldn't say one of the best bits I ever did, but one of the better bits that I ever wrote, and I'm very proud of it. It started when I was on the air one day, just in a rant about how wind turbines kill, just maim, knock out of the sky about 500,000 birds a year in North America alone. And I just couldn't possibly see the benefit in that. And then it suddenly struck me, wait a minute. There's a lot of benefit in that. Maybe this is intentional. Maybe they're trying to clear the skies of these pesky birds. And at night, a lot of people are scared of bats. In North America alone, about 800,000 bats a year are sucked into these wind turbines. Now, if you don't know how this works, when one of these flying creatures gets close to the turbine blades, the blades create a vortex and it sucks them in. A lot of bigger birds like to glide. Whenever they find any kind of turbulence up there, they spread out those wings nice and big and they just glide on the turbulence. So when they get around wind turbines that are supposed to be producing electricity and they feel the disturbed air, oh, hey, this is something good to glide on. What they don't realize is it's slowly drawing them closer and closer. And by the time the bird realizes how close they are to the spinning turbine blades, it's too late. And they get sucked right in and smacked down. So let's go tin hat conspiracy on this. Maybe this is being done on purpose. Maybe the people who built these turbines just hate birds. Birds, let's face it, they're annoying. They're everywhere, filling the skyways and dropping their little droppings on our automobiles, on our homes, and causing billions of dollars of damage every single year, eating gardens right down to the nub, including the seeds. And of course, we've all seen Alfred Hitchcock's movie, The Birds. Yes, birds cost the American economy billions of dollars every year in damage, and billions of dollars to our economy by slowing down traffic at airports, and even bringing down planes by dangerously flying into the engines. So how do we rid the skyways of these pesky creatures? We've found a way. Windmills are the answer. Yes, environmentally friendly because they don't use pesticides. Massive churning windmill blades bring down birds by the hundreds every single day. And thanks to Barack Obama's incentives and subsidies, windmill farms are now popping up around the country. Last year alone, we killed over 500,000 of these pesky creatures. Maybe right in your own backyard. Join us, won't you? Call your congressman. Ask for more windmills and more windmill subsidies so we can rid the skies of these pesky, costly nuisance creatures we call birds. Brought to you by the Coalition for Cleaner, Safer Skies. Makes complete sense. There's a bunch of bird haters out there. And these bird haters have decided that the best thing to do to clear the skies of these pesky critters, just to put up these turbines. Birds and bat haters. This all reminded me because I was watching something on television and there was a commercial. I don't know for what. I had the sound off. And the commercial flies over several American cities and small towns. And every so often as they flew over cities and small towns, you would see wind turbines slowly churning out there. Isn't this wonderful? Aren't we modern? We're helping the environment. Yes, You are. Because birds do a lot of damage. Those of you out there who have had bird poop all over your cars, you know exactly what I'm talking about. How bad is that for the paint? Your house, your roof? Does it ruin your lawn? I know it doesn't help your driveway much. Oh, these birds they've got to go. And so the best way to take care of them is just across the country, put up turbines everywhere and convince everybody that these turbines are there for the betterment of our environment, because birds and bats are destroying our environment. Safety is the number one priority in any workplace. Employers and employees alike all want to live and work in a safe environment because, let's face it, we work for our families and we need to come home to them. That's why you should use Freedom Fighters Community Solutions for your pre-employment random or workplace accident, drug, and alcohol testing. Everything is tested on-site, and Freedom Fighters Community Solutions is the only company in the area that can get the most accurate results quickly. Don't take chances with your life, your business, or your employees. Go to Freedom Fighters Community Solutions. For more information, call Freedom Fighters Community Solutions at 307-696-6150. That's 307-696-6150. 307-696-6150.
I'm Professor Burke from Farmers Insurance, and this is 30 Seconds of Smart. So you want discounts on your home insurance. Upgrade your roof. Upgrade your plumbing. Get a burglar alarm. Get a fire alarm. Combine policies with your spouse. Bundle your coverage. Quit smoking. And of course, talk to farmers, because the more you know about home insurance, the more you can save.
We are farmers.
Get smarter about your insurance at farmers.com.
Stop by and see Lyle Austin, 201 West Lakeway Road in the Lakeway Professional Center, 686-5002. That's 686-5002.
So I was driving through Nebraska last week, and it was so flat.
Like the football in last year's championship game.
Yeah, the flat gate, that was flat. Or like that beer that you tried to make.
No, Lord, that was flat. Like my bank account, I am flat broke.
But you know what's not flat? Jack's Liquor.
Beer's not flat.
The drinks aren't flat.
Music's not flat.
And the atmosphere, that's definitely not flat.
Definitely not flat.
Monday Night Football at Jack's. 16-ounce Bud Light cans, only $2.75. Jack's Liquor and Bar, the Adult Daycare Center, 302 East 2nd Street, across from Napa Auto Parts.
I like my haircut.
Flat top? Really?
We have some unusual technology. Unlike anything else in the world, it doesn't wear out or become outdated in a few months or even a few years. Learning curve on how to use it and fully enjoy it? None. Rather than become outdated, it's timeless. Rather than become obsolete as the years go by, it becomes one of life's most treasured possessions. What is this unusual technology? It's a diamond. I'm Bruce Marshall. Come see what our rock scientists have for you and the ones you love. Marshall Jewelry, where she'll love it, guaranteed.
What's a good cup of coffee if you can't spit it across the dashboard now and then, right? Oh, yeah, and ruin a good work shirt. Sure, burn the hell out of your inner thighs. We know what you need, though, in a radio program. Irreverent but honest, and tastefully tacky. It's Glenn Woods.
So apparently, sheriffs around the country more and more of them are encouraging citizens to get guns. Well, and the reason why is it lowers the crime rate. One of the reasons why. Well, and it's not that police aren't trying to help their community and be there when you need them, but one of the best arguments I've ever used in this is just I like to simplify things. Real simplified argument. If, let's say, there's an intruder in your home, and I don't care where you live, and you call the police, first off, I hope you can get to the phone and get the words out, because the situation that's happening in your home is happening now. So to have to dial the number and explain it, whatever's going on is going to be over before you're done with that. And then the police have to get from where they are to where you are, and it's going to take them a while. It's not that they're not trying to get there. More and more sheriffs around the country are encouraging you to get a gun, learn how to use it, and defend yourself at home. It reduces crime and keeps you safer. This is Glenn, who's on the phone.
Hey, Glenn, Joe here.
Yes, sir.
Long time no talk.
Yeah, how you been? What's going on?
I thought I'd tell you that unlike most of these politicians today, 3 weeks ago I found out that I do have a brain. I have brain surgery.
Mm-hmm.
But can you tell me the difference between methane and natural gas?
Geez, I kind of look at the two and thought that both were naturally formed. Am I wrong?
They're both chemically the same.
Yeah. Okay.
And why is methane considered such a chemical pollutant, but they wanted to put natural gas into the power plants?
Well, I think it is supposed to be, and I don't know if this is correct or not, but I should look into it now that you mention it. It's supposed to be that one traps more greenhouse gases, than the other.
They're both the same gas, though.
I understand, but this is so I'll have to look into to see what kind of difference they're talking about there. It's interesting because it's a lot like when they look at an AR-15 and say it's a high-powered assault rifle with an extended clip, and not one word of that is correct. So, or they say carbon pollution, and that's not possible to have something called carbon pollution. It's impossible to have that. So what you're saying, I should look into it a little bit more because maybe they're getting their terms completely wrong.
Well, what I'm saying, you work in an oil patch, the only difference there is the smell that they put into the methane to make it natural gas.
Other than that, essentially it acts the same way is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, I'll look into it to see if there's any kind of a difference or why they're making it sound like there's some kind of a difference. I don't know because I've just never had a reason to look into it, but now I do.
And like I said, at least now I got a hole in my head. I know there's a brain there, unlike the politicians out there.
Yeah,
But they
there's
drove in their
something.
head.
All right, thanks for calling. This is Glenn, who's on the phone. Yes, hello.
Hello.
Yes, you're on the air.
Okay.
All right. Well, if you got something to say, call back and try again. 307-363-4093 is the number. This is one of the things that he was saying there. I just have never had a reason to look into why there would be a difference, one and the other. And then I immediately get suspicious because so many things that they, one way or another, tell us are true, oftentimes are either they're intentionally saying it wrong or they don't have their facts. This is Glenn, who's on the phone.
This is Lee.
Yes, sir. What you got?
Okay, natural gas is a collective term for anything produced out of a well. And there's totally different classes of natural gas.
Okay.
Methane is the smallest molecule of natural gas produced.
Right.
Now, it can go all the way up to decane, and which is a 10 carbon molecule, whereas methane is a single carbon molecule.
Okay. Is that why they're saying that one traps more greenhouse gas than the other?
No, methane traps more greenhouse gas, or is a better heat trapping greenhouse gas than, say, carbon dioxide. And why, I don't know. But once you burn methane, you have CO2 and water.
Yeah.
That's why they want that's why they want plants to run on natural gas instead of coal.
Okay.
You have less, nitrous oxides emissions and mercury and all that other stuff that you have when you burn coal.
I see. Okay,
It's
so you don't have
also
to
a whole
filter
lot
it as
cheaper right now. Believe me, if natural gas wasn't $2.70 per 1,000 cubic feet, and it was up around 4 or 5, those plants that burn natural gas would be switching back to coal.
I see. Okay. So what worries me about what you say there is that somebody will come along, if they haven't already, and start to artificially fiddle with the market to get them to burn one thing over the other. Yeah. They would never do that, would they?
Oh, no, fudge numbers like IPCC? No.
Couldn't imagine it.
NASA
Thanks for
now?
calling.
No.
I do appreciate it.
at all that winter static electricity going to waste. Wouldn't it be great if we could capture it? Well, forget those windmills that freeze over in the winter. And don't even bother with solar panels that get covered up with ice and snow. This winter, charge your house with static electricity. New from Perpetual Energy Systems, it's the Shuffle Charger. Our static starter kit comes with extra fuzzy wool socks and a battery belt that you can charge each time you shuffle and touch it. Cell phone dead? Shuffle charge it. Laptop dead? Shuffle charge it. Grandma dead? Get the whole family together and shuffle charge her. Stop wasting those little zaps on your kids, your wife, your pet. Upload each zap into our utility belt. Then at the end of the day, just plug the batteries into the power closet. Save money this winter. Keep your house warm with static. Only $19.95. And yes, you can charge it.
Tired of liberal so-called reality shows that do nothing but feature embarrassing conservatives like Honey Boo Boo and hicks that live in swamps? Well, we here at American Standard Media have begun our own reality show, Pot Stars. Dude. A new reality show showing liberal life in Denver, Colorado. Dude. Whoa. Sweet. And tune in next week for a special jaw-dropping episode. Whoa. All new from American Standard Media. Reality shows featuring liberals. Now, we admit the shows are not as interesting because, as usual, conservatives are doing all the work. Whoa.
Don't have time to catch the entire show live? Log in to boldrepublic.com to hear or watch the show anytime you like on any device you have. Phone, tablet, tower, laptop, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Google, YouTube, you name it. Glenn's jacked in so many ways, he looks like Neo in the Matrix when he woke up in that pod. You know, that goop and wires hanging and they Well, anyway, you get the idea. Not like that. Far from it. Watch or listen to the show when you're able. Any way you like, boldrepublic.com.
It's the last 7 minutes of the program. Bold Republic is on. My name's Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. You can do what those last couple of callers just did. 307-363-4093. That's 307-363-4093. Pretty much everything I talk about, a whole lot more. BoldRepublic.com. I update it throughout the weekend, so stick with it on that. Get a load of this. I'm reading a book by Cheryl Atkinson. Now, if you recognize the name or don't, she has been a major reporter, CBS News mostly, for a very long career and an investigative reporter. I mean, this is real reporting here, real investigative stuff, and very good at it. Well, this is the woman who one day, because she was doing things like investigating Benghazi, I should say one night, woke up in the middle of the night. Did my computer just turn on? Her tower computer seemed to turn on all on its own, and it woke her up. And it seemed to be busy over there, but she's laying in bed, and maybe I forgot to shut it off when I went to bed. And sometimes computers do updates and stuff like that. And then it seemed to shut itself off. This was 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And this would happen every so often. Okay, that and other instances that were really weird. Cables running into her house along with her television cable and internet cable, another cable running into her house. And so she had the cable removed by someone from the cable company, and it just mysteriously disappeared. So it turns out that the government was watching her. Because she was investigating Benghazi. The government was watching her. She had to quit. Her employer didn't want her to continue to pursue the story. She had to quit. And after she quit, because she's not beholden to anyone anymore, she writes a tell-all book. Just go look for it. It's by Cheryl Atkinson. The name's slipping in my mind right now, but Cheryl Atkinson's her name. She could not have written that book if she was working for any news organization right now, because she goes into detail about how the news is selected. And there's a lot of pressure. You don't want to offend your sponsors. You don't want to offend people who are politically connected. That would be bad for you. You don't want to offend people in politics, because that could be bad for you. And even on the major corporate level, big, media, CNN, ABC, CBS, and so on and so on, there's a lot of pressure on them, a lot of pressure to make sure that certain stories just don't get out because, well, you might offend the politicians or the well-connected, et cetera, et cetera. Stonewall. Thank you, DJ. DJ, just let me know. The book is named Stonewalled by Cheryl Atkinson. If you really would like to see an in-depth tell-all book, I'm only halfway through it. And the whole time I'm reading it, I keep sitting down going, oh, dear God, it's worse than I thought. A lot of the news that you get, the bias in the news is because, yes, there's a lot of liberals in the news that work for major news organizations. So because of that, yes, there's a lot of bias in your news. We all know that that's the case. Okay. But there's also a lot of corporate pressure, government pressure, and so on, because people, well-connected people with a lot of money, people in high places, just don't want you hearing that. And that's primarily what she gets into in this book. What made me think of that in the last segment of the show, I was looking for the last story of the show today and of the week. This is on my daily outrage page. Here's the headline. NBC scrapped a story about Bill Clinton rape accuser because she didn't have anything new to say. So, I'm just going to leave the headline right there. I could get into the story for you, but I'm just going to leave the headline right. She doesn't have anything new, so we're not going to cover it again. How many times? I'm not buying that. How often do you find the media going back and rehashing old stories, and you're wondering why? And the reason why is because, well, they're trying to, they use that story to do damage to somebody. And so they decided that it's time to do damage to that person again. They're running for office, whatever the case may be. So we'll use that story to do damage to them again. So Bill Clinton is fair game in this presidential election. He's fair game. It was Hillary who brought up, well, when someone says that she's been sexually assaulted, we need to believe her. It was Hillary that said that. So it is fair game to go after Bill. But no, we're going to shoot that story down. For what reason? Well, the Clintons are not just the Clintons, and yes, there's liberal bias there. But you're also talking about people who are financially connected and people who are politically connected. And so there's a lot of different reasons to shoot that story down. And it looks like, in this case, this is exactly what happened. She got nothing new. We'll just go ahead and shoot it down. Certain stories will never be told or retold, for that matter. For exactly those reasons. Cheryl Atkinson's book, Stonewall. Read it. If you really want a good inside look at what's really going on in the irrelevant press and how you get your news. Monday, we'll do it all over again. Same time. Same dial position. See you on the radio.